Okay, hopefully we are live and you can see and or hear me. 1, 2, testing, testing. Is the volume loud enough? Let me know. It is Saturday, the 14th of September, 2024. Now hopefully you're all good. You can hear me, see me and all that kind of stuff. Oh, yep, I can see there's something on the screen now that looks a little bit like me. A slightly older and fatter version by the looks of things, but there you go, it is what it is. Good volume. Excellent. It's working. Ugly Bob says he's got the Dymo printer out. Mike means business. Oh, yes. Excellent. So that is working. David doesn't know it's Sunday the 15th. Fair enough. Yeah, it was Friday the 13th yesterday. Some unlucky shenanigans were going on in the mud world. Good friend of the channel, Arali, managed to lose a wheel off his car whilst travelling at 50 miles an hour. Hopefully you're a little bit better and hopefully the nerves have settled down. That's, it must be quite terrifying. Let's check. So this camera's working. You can all hear me and see me, it would appear. So let's have a look at the overhead camera. Yep, that appears to be okay. Hello. That seems to be working. Streaming desktop. Yep, that is working. Excellent stuff. Back to the main camera. And there is another super chat from Bob. Ugly Bob says, for £10 there, my granddad asked me how to print. I said Control P. He said, I haven't been able to do that for years. Boom. And following that up, Richard Defries says, hi all from a wet Ireland. Hopefully those two are not related.
Should we do all the super chats?
Let's do the super chats. Let's get those out of the way before we make a start proper. So first one was Ugly Bob. Welcome back, Ugly Bob, the long lost stranger of the Mike's unboxing community. Bob's been working very hard, doing his usual 007 spy stuff, and yeah, he says disco, disco, disco. £2 super chat. Thank you very much, Bob. And the next one is, oh, have I turned my keyboard on? Yes, I have. The escape button is not working. Oh, I wonder if that is a keyboard thing rather than a Windows, rather than a streaming thing. Ah, now that's interesting because the escape key works properly on there to remove the chat on my screen. I'll show you actually so you know what I'm talking about. So you don't think I'm just being a little bit of a weirdo. So we go back to Stream Desktop. So if I click on a comment, it comes up saying what I can do to the chat, etc. And also it should come up on the screen as well. So if I press Escape, it does nothing on my wireless keyboard, but if I press Escape on my normal keyboard, that disappears. How very strange. I don't know why that is. I wonder if this escape key actually works. I wonder if that's what the problem was all this time, that this escape key. I've not used this for ages, so I might have to swap it out. Anyway, I'm digressing. Let's have a look at the other super chats. So Rick H comes in with a $5 as well. Oh, damn you, escape key does not work. He says Disco, Disco, Disco 2.0. Thank you very much, Rick, for your kind donation. Much appreciated. And there's another one from Mick Woods. Bless you, Mick Woods. I can't see what it says now. It's so frustrating. Hi, everyone. Are these actually coming up on the... They're not coming up on the screen, are they? Why is that grayed out? Where's my mouse over there? Live chat. So why is that not working? Live chat session. Okay. Oh, I know, because I've turned it off. Oh dear, what it's like to be a YouTuber. Apologies for that. Hi everyone, great to see Ugly Bob back in Mubland. It's going to be a good one. Thank you, Mick, for your £10 donation. Much appreciated. Was there another one? I think there might have been. No, maybe not. That was it. Oh yeah, Ugly Bob's one we've done already, so that is working now. Yeah, you can actually see that. So if I press Escape, yeah, no, that doesn't work. I wonder if my escape key just literally doesn't work. Mother thingy. That's upsetting. Work, you thing. Oh dear. Anyway, thanks for thanks those of you that have joined us on this. I'm gonna get some good shoulder exercise. My neck is killing. I've got some tension in my neck and in my back I think it's the cats. Now, for those of you that have watched the channel for long enough, you'll know that I've got a Boulis Master gaming chair, which is actually just out of shot here. Hopefully you can just about see that, it's just rolled in. So that is the Boulis Master gaming chair, which is actually supremely comfortable. But unfortunately, it's so darn comfortable that it seems almost whenever I get out of the chair, I end up with one of the cats just nestling in it because they find it very comfortable, as do I. So I end up, I'll show you actually what I sit on. This is basically a milking stool, for want of a better word. And it's not very comfortable. So when the cat steals my chair, I end up sitting on this thing over at my desk, kind of hunched over the keyboard. And I'm not sure if that's what's doing my back in. It could well be. Or just the fact that I'm old. Who knows? Anyway, there you go. So the volume is okay. I've actually increased the volume. I've installed the Realtek Windows application on the PC back there, and I've booted up the microphone from +10 to +20 gain. So it should be massively louder, but I'm not sure if it is. So please do let me know in the comments if it is much louder, about the same, noticeably different. I've actually reduced the microphone volume on the mic itself. So yeah, actually if I adjusted it in there, can't even tell. Let's have a look. Where are we? Mic volume. Right, mic volume in there is still at 0 dB. These mic packs do seem to be a little bit on the low side, or it's the Realtek audio. I'm not too sure which it is. O'Reilly says noticeably different and better. Oh, excellent. That Skystalker says sounds loud and clear here. Awesome stuff. Nick Barnes says sounds great, but adverts are even louder. I think they do that deliberately. I think they make adverts super loud so that if you're kind of falling asleep whilst watching a stream or a video or whatever, all of a sudden an advert comes on, it's like really bombastic sound. Ah dear. Anyway, moving on. So it isn't too quiet. Truck fans asking any bloopers this week. Not that I'm aware of. Don't think there were. Has there been any bloopers? No, I don't think there has been. No doubt we'll create some. It does happen. Okay, mic's mic. So noticeably different and better. What I'm going to do is I'm actually going to try and turn the volume up a little bit on here and see if this makes it any louder. Which one is it? I can never see the buttons on here. So now that is at full blast. So hopefully that now should be kind of equalized to what most people have. So let me know what you think. Is that much louder? Is it too loud? Is it distorted? Or is it just better because you can hear it clearer? Let's know. Pete Unwin says, hello, Kath and Mike. Not forgetting mubbers. No worries. It's getting warm in here again. It's 22.6 degrees Celsius. Outside at the moment is bitterly cold. The autumnal feel is definitely here in the United Kingdom. And it's been around about 16 maybe to 18 degrees today at times. So it's been actually quite a nice sunny day. But it gets rather chilly towards the evening. We had a 3-degree evening this week, which did seem not good. Summer is definitely over.
It wasn't cold in here though, was it?
Dutch Jan's, yeah, that's true. Dutch Jan says last week sound was at 100, now it's 60. All right, excellent. Well, hopefully the volume is a bit better. I know some of you have been complaining about it. Not complaining, but just saying that it could be louder. So hopefully, for those of you, it is, it's a better sounding. Excellent. Zero defects, there's no clipping, all good. Good stuff. Mitch Hammond says, hi Mike, how are you? I finally gave up on my AM5 build. 2 motherboards, swapping out parts, only to still get random reboots. Only thing I didn't switch motherboard CPU. So where are you at now? Inspector X says, hi Mike, how are you? Yeah, not too bad. Riley says he almost got sunburn yesterday waiting for the AA. Oof. Rasher says it's 16 degrees here in Ireland, but the wind chill is about 9 degrees Celsius. Soulblade says no problem, not wearing headphones, rip headphone users. Mark Berry says, I like this time of year, the holiday makers have all gone home. Where are you, Mark?
Devon.
Oh, Devon, of course, yeah. Well done, Kath. She's on the ball. Fair play to her. I'm going to have a little slurp of my drink. Hopefully it's cool enough and I don't burn my mouth. I made that. It's horrible. Swanage in Dorset. Wonderful. Wonderful. Okay, so, sorry, just reading that. Yeah, so tonight's stream, I kind of haven't got anything really planned as such, so that's why it's like an AMA, so you can ask me anything. There are some little things I have to do. Well, I don't have to do, but I'm going to kind of do anyway, because Saturday night streams, it's just time for us to, well, in theory it's time for us to chill out, but it kind of isn't, because we're still technically working. But yeah, just trying to get some things done, anything that hasn't been done in the week or that needs doing to get done. We had a bit of a lazier day on Friday. Well, I did personally. Kath always works like a Trojan all the time. She's flat out all the time.
Fridays are terrible though.
Yeah, and Fridays are generally busy days for us anyway.
For me,
more so for Kath, more than me.
I prep all the cats.
So I try and kind of fit in around what Kath's doing, so as to try and make her day a little bit less stressful than it would otherwise be. So we've been trying to get the mics unboxing pens out. Slowly but surely we're starting to get those out. And actually that is one of the housekeeping items that we do need to do. There are some of you which we need to get in contact with. So I will mention you now.
I've given you the list, haven't I?
Yeah, Kath's given me the list. So I will mention you now. Ideally get in touch with us on Discord if you can. Alternatively email, but because there's so many people spoofing emails and stuff like that or pretending to be someone that are not, I would prefer if you did it via Discord, so at least you can kind of prove who you are. There's nothing major, it's only a pen, but people being people. There have actually been this week, I think it was this week actually, the beginning of the week, there were, I think there was one or maybe two people who were trying to actually impersonate me on the Discord.
I think that was last week.
It might have been towards the end of last week, but I think it was this week as well. But so just a heads up, if you get a friend request from me, first of all, it's probably going to be quite unlikely. Unless you've bought something or you want to buy something, in which case I've tried to get into contact with you. If someone contacts you randomly, pretending to be me, or anyone I guess on the internet, saying that you've won a competition or you've won a GPU or you've won a PC and they need you to send them some money for postage or whatever, it's probably not legit. So generally don't do it. For me personally, if I send you a friend request via Discord, look at the details of the thing, look at the profile. Obviously, because I am the kind of co-owner of the Discord with Kath, you should see that in my profile it says that I'm like the admin, or like I've got all of the rights, rather than being just like a newbie or a member, that sort of thing. That's one of the massive giveaways. So just look at it, and also the fact that I've been a member of the Discord since the day I started it, which is about 2017. So look at the date.
I don't think it was that early.
It started. I think it was around there.
It was quite a few months.
It'll be a long time ago, good 6 years ago or 5 years ago. So take that into consideration. So yeah, if you get a random friend request from someone that you think is like someone that you want to speak to, like myself or some other YouTuber or someone even on the same Discord, just be a little bit careful, do a little bit of due diligence. Don't just randomly accept friend request. Well, you can just accept a friend request, but if then they start talking to you a bit odd, or they start talking about money or telling you things which seem a little bit too good to be true, the age-old adage is, if it sounds too good to be true, heck, it probably is. So do be careful. And also, bear in mind that I'm in the UK. So if I do get in contact with you and I say, can you send me $15 for postage, dollars of no use to me whatsoever. So again, just look at the fine print. Same as with emails. If you get phishing emails, all that sort of stuff, so look at the kind of the timestamps, the date stamps, the location if you can, the currency mentioned, and does the email or does the message sound like it's something that I would say? Most of the time I talk gibberish, so it's hard to tell, but you should kind of be able to get a little bit of a feel for it. Especially if you
type even worse.
Yeah, my typing's worse than my speaking, so look out for spelling, look out for typos, definitely.
If it has no typos, it's not him.
Anyway, moving on.
Ugly Bob used your pen this morning to get a pound out from under the settee.
Nice. It is actually quite handy.
But our post office is shut down for the last 2 weeks.
Our local post office
I've got all
in the village we live in, yeah, there's been something going on there weird. It used to be a normal post office, but then it got taken over by Morrison's. So it's now a Morrison's and a little post office counter. And they've been having like teething problems since they started working. They've been generally pretty good.
When it's working, it's brilliant.
Yeah, when they're there, they're great. But last week, I think they were, or was the week before, they said they were closed Monday to Friday due to staff shortages or whatever. And then there was another message this week that we found out on like a local Facebook group saying that it's closed again. So yeah, if you haven't had yours yet, don't panic. Especially if you're one of our overseas viewers, we're gonna get around to it. So yeah, don't panic. But I do need contact details from 3 people at the moment: George Grigg, Andre Pedriero, may have said that wrong, and Clarence Nolan.
For ages.
Eh?
She's been there for ages.
Yeah, and sorry, you know what's like, I've got to be careful what names I say out loud. So, and also a letter. You know you are. And there's Kerry Holzman. Kerry Holzman is in the chat. I was in Kerry's chat last night for ages. He's been doing some stuff with some NAS recently, and obviously, I don't know why I'm saying this. Kerry said it for me. So I'm going to return the favour, but he did say in his stream to his viewers, like if you haven't seen Mike's Unboxing Reviews and How To, go over there. The content is somewhat similar. We've got similar sort of viewpoints on a lot of things. We differ on others, but in terms of the kind of type of content, it's very similar. So if you haven't already, which I can't believe for some reason you haven't, because Kerry is like the kind of the granddaddy of YouTubers, tech YouTubers anyway. So if you haven't been to his channel already, I do suggest you go there. Kerry does live streams pretty much most days. I know the schedule's been changing recently because he's currently moving into, or well, filming from and moving into his new Studio C. So yeah, some changes going on there. So yeah, I would suggest you head on over, take a look. If you like my content, then there's a very strong chance you'll enjoy Kerry's, potentially even more. And if you like contributing to live chat, leaving comments, asking questions, Kerry's got a really good community where people will answer questions in the chat or he will answer them himself. If he actually sees them, there's a lot of people in the chat, so you may not always get an answer straight away, but generally he does go through them pretty good. And yeah, we had some interesting conversations talking about various things, especially with like AM5 stuff going on. Kerry, being Kerry, has always been somewhat of a lifelong Intel fan. I personally have been the opposite, so I've been mostly an AMD fan pretty much most of my computing career. The occasional Intel platform now and then has been appealing to me. So there's been some things which have happened recently with AM5 which I'm aware of, which perhaps Kerry and some of his viewers aren't. So been posting some stuff in his chat, and yeah, it's been pretty good. So if you do want to see some extra content and you want to fill your life with more live streams on a more down-to-earth basis, and Kerry is actually really good. He does break things down. I'm not going to say to make things idiot-proof because that's undermining it, but just on a really kind of understandable grassroots level. So if you've kind of never done something before, he'll explain it, and even the more technical stuff as well he gets involved with. So yeah, some pretty interesting stuff. I know what I feel is quite a lot about computer stuff, and I still find watching Kerry streams that I learn a new thing every now and then, and no doubt he feels the same watching our streams. So yeah, it's a mutually agreeable thing. Yes, Kath?
Mitch Heyman.
Mitch Heyman. Says Mike, I've never had so much trouble getting a PC to work. Oh right, what's that? Sorry.
Get motherboards, CPUs from Amazon.
Do I get motherboards and CPUs from Amazon? Yes.
And how are they on returns if you had to return any NAS or CPUs?
Generally, if you're buying from Amazon, now Amazon's really good. Their customer service is excellent, albeit sometimes you do have to jump through a few hoops. I would suggest if you are buying a CPU or a processor, always try and do it through Amazon. And if you can do it for our affiliate links, even better. Won't cost you any more, but we do get a little bit of a kickback from it. And it's not a lot, because Amazon are tight sods. They got rockets and things to pay for. So we don't get a lot out of it. It's like, I think it's like 1% if you're lucky. So if you spend £100, we might get £1. So yeah, we're not going to be retiring anytime soon, but it does all go towards helping. Enough of you buy stuff, it does mount up. But going back to what I said, yeah, if you go through Amazon, buy stuff, it's really good because you've got 30 days. If you're buying from Amazon and it's sold by and fulfilled by Amazon, that's the best way to go. So when you're checking out, look on the right hand side whether you got the price and look who you're buying it from. If it says sold by Amazon and dispatched by Amazon or whatever, that's the best possible solution. Now potentially you might pay slightly more. Quite often there'll be other sellers that will sell things on Amazon, but it's basically what they call a third party sell. So when that happens, in terms of returns, not always quite so easy, because more times than not, you'll find that the return will actually have to go back to the seller rather than directly to Amazon. Now you can kind of bicker that and fight it out speaking to an Amazon representative, and generally they're quite good. A very good one that I've done this week, my Thermaltake AIO, which you guys saw very recently. I don't think the video's been released yet, but I did show it on the stream and we used it in that little mini PC. The pump on it was horrendously loud, and it just got louder and louder until I thought it stopped. So I thought, no, it's outside of the 30-day returns window, but I'm not happy with it. And it was sold by Thermaltake EU on Amazon. So I went through the usual process and it said, sorry, this is out of returns window, blah, blah, blah. So you get into contact with customer service and then basically plead your case. And I'm very pleased to say Amazon agreed the return. I packaged it all up, they gave me a QR code, I stuck that on the box, took it to the post office nearby, a little bit further away, and they scanned it, went back, and within about 24 hours the money, well, I had a notification saying your Amazon refund has been processed. It will take 3 to 5 days to show in your bank account. So that was it, it was done and dusted. So I would argue that Amazon returns are possibly the easiest that I've ever dealt with, and also if you're buying from other sellers, especially here in the UK, I'm not going to name anyone specifically that is bad. They're all in the same ballpark. So you've got your CCLs, you've got your Scan, you've got eBuyer, AWDIT, eBay, all that kind of stuff, whatever you're using. None of them come even close to the simplicity of using Amazon. So for me personally, even though we are affiliates, and you're probably guessing I should say this anyway, but genuinely, even before being an affiliate and even before doing all the YouTube stuff, we always used Amazon. And if I had to buy a processor or a motherboard, unless it was a ridiculously good offer from somewhere else, I would always buy from Amazon because the returns is just, well, it's just far better. You can get to the point where you can just really just bullshit them crazy. Like you could, in theory, order a motherboard, get it, take out the M.2 screws because that's all you need, send the thing back. I don't think they even check it. It's just a massive part of a wheel in a machine. So if you're slightly less scrupulous and you need some spare parts for a motherboard that you haven't got, hey, on your own head be it. But that's how easy they take returns. I don't think they ever check it. They just look at the box, weigh it, look to see if there's actually something which resembles the description in it, and yep, chuck it in the resales pile. Yes, Gaff?
Randy.
No, I'm not at the moment. I'm trying to do a stream. Randy, where's Randy? What did Randy say? So yeah, buy from Amazon. Come on, Randy, where are you? I can't see him. What was his question? Did you know?
No, because it's so...
Randy, I've been chatting for ages. Just post your question again. It's good for the stats.
You probably can't.
Let's be fair.
Congratulations to Kev, who's having a new family member soon.
Wow, Kev2427 has been at it 24/27 by the sound of it. Expecting another family member in the next few months.
Randy, hello. Is it worth trading the NZXT H5 Flow? RGB case for an Amtech C8 case.
Whereabouts is it? Is it
Just above that. Kev one.
All right, let's scroll back up. Sorry. Can't see that. Sorry, I'm scrolling and thinking. How much further? Oh, Randy, hello. There we go. Right, I'm going to say some stuff now which is going to probably be unpopular to a lot of people, but it's my opinion and I don't care. So, NZXT, I don't like their stuff. I honestly don't like any of it. Genuinely, I don't. And for various reasons. One is that it's super popular with noobs, in my opinion. So Corsair and NZXT are both aiming at the same sort of market. They've done enough of their merchandising and branding to get themselves in front of people so that they've got a reasonable reputation. They've got a really good range of stock, but there's just something about NZXT, the whole ecosystem, which just, I don't know, just doesn't do it for me at all. The CAM software, I think, is absolutely awful. It has some positive sides to it, but in general, most of the NZXT stuff you buy, you have to install the CAM software. Much like Corsair with their ecosystem, where if you buy something from Corsair, there's a strong chance you're going to have to install, like even RAM, Vengeance RAM. If you want to control the RGB, yeah, pretty much you're going to have to install IQ. And it just gets to the point where you've got like your motherboard software, you've got your Corsair software, you've got maybe your NZXT software, and it all just mounts up and it just makes your PC horrible and unreliable. So I try to avoid those kind of ecosystems if I can. Some of them I'm okay with because they're not too intrusive on the system, but I find NZXT's is particularly intrusive. Now, if you're going for an entire NZXT ecosystem PC, case, motherboard, cooling system, fans, all that sort of stuff, sure, knock yourself out. You can have a great time with it. It's a very good ecosystem, but there's parts of it, it's like NZXT software does not support RGB RAM because they don't make it. Which means if you're trying to set up a system and you want to incorporate your lighting from your motherboard and share it with your PC case or your cooler or whatever, you need another piece of software. Which just seems really backward in 2024, where even Microsoft are getting involved and they don't make RGB stuff. And they're trying to do something with the RGB ecosystem to make it all work into one kind of cohesive thing. And NZXT seem to be hell-bent on doing the exact opposite, which, yeah, just seems bizarre. I think NZXT stuff is overhyped. Generally, I think it's expensive, and I find that almost... No, I'm not going to say 100% because that's stupid, but I would say a high margin of problems we get on our Discord on a daily basis with systems either not posting, not working, or overheating. Generally, there's an NZXT cooler in the mix there somewhere. Through various reasons, because A, the software isn't easy to set up, or perhaps it's not wired incorrectly because it needs a USB connection somewhere. The CAM software is not set up, or something which we found out more so recently is the mounting pressure on the AM5 sockets from NZXT coolers is way, way too hard. So it pushes the CPU down onto the motherboard and it bends the motherboard pins so much so that they actually bend off of their pads which they're supposed to be situated on. So when it's cold, it will probably boot up if you're lucky. Otherwise, you'll probably get the LEDs with the CPU and DRAM lights. And it's just a horrible thing to actually troubleshoot. Generally, loosen off the screws a couple of turns, turn it all off, turn it back on. You might find it works okay. So for me, NZXT stuff, I personally would not entertain having it at all. That is just my opinion. And sorry, there was another question along those lines, wasn't there, at the same time? Where was it? I didn't see it. There was another... What was the case? Sorry, going back to it. I can't see the question now. I've gone off on one. Randy. Let's see, where is Randy again? I'm not going to find it. Well, basically, yeah, given the choice between an NZXT case and anything other than an NZXT case, definitely, I would change it. I'm, again, not a fan of NZXT. The Antec C8 looks to be a fantastic case. Although, for some reason, Antec, I've reached out to them on numerous occasions, both online and in their Discord, trying to get review samples, and I'm just getting ghosted. So if any of you know anybody at at Antec, let me know. Because the thing is, I'm likely to be quite positive about their cases, because they look quite good, and from what I can tell, they're excellent. So I don't know what it is. Maybe I've upset them at some point somewhere. I know I did a review of some Antec fans about 3 years ago now, and they were shit. Genuinely, they were awful. And yeah, that was it. I was honest, and I can only do that. So if Antec are not letting me have review samples because I'm being honest, then so be it. Whatever, I can live with that. Yeah, it is what it is. Mick Wood says, I do like my NZXT flow though. NZXT H7 flow. Good. I'm glad you do. For me personally, I'm not a fan of NZXT stuff in general. I can understand, like I said, it's a great ecosystem, and the actual design and the looks of them are fantastic. It really is. It's just those little things with the coolers more so, and the software, which really does, it just blows my mind. Anyway, there you go. That is my opinion on it. What else do we get to? There is a super chat from Matthew Day. Thank you, Matthew Day. I'll press the deleter. Is there a good way to check an AIO? Just got used. Oh, just got a used one. To be honest with you, with the AIO, really, unless you want to take it apart, there's not a great deal that you can do. Probably the things I would look out for, first of all, is noise from the pump. Make sure there's no weird noises going on. You will get the occasional hum or a bit of a rumble from a pump, but it shouldn't be too loud. Should be relatively silent and should fit in with your PC fans. You shouldn't really notice it over that. Excessive gurgling. So depending on how you've got the actual cooler mounted, you may find it, if over the time it's been used, it has experienced a little bit of evaporation, which it can do. You think it was a sealed unit, but it's not. You can actually have fluid evaporate via the rubber tubes, believe it or not. I don't know how that happens, but apparently it's a thing. And I also assumed rubber was completely watertight, but it isn't. There are micro pores in it apparently, which can allow fluids to dissipate through it. So check to make sure that there is enough fluid in there. Normally, if you just grab the radiator when it's not in the PC and just give it a little movement, you should be able to hear it sloshing around a little bit. If it seems like it's sloshing around a little bit too much, it might have been that it's lost some fluid. Most AIOs have got like a fill plug somewhere, so you can carefully try and add some more coolant to the mix should you need to. Alternatively, if you want to go really in depth in it, you could take off the cold plates, take off the gasket as well, make sure there's no gunk build up actually on the micro fins on the cooler. I think we did that in a live stream ages ago, and it's a relatively straightforward thing to do. Fiddly, probably, if you're probably a two-person job, so you really want one person to be kind of holding the radiator for you whilst you're doing the things with the cold plate, because otherwise it gets a really bit difficult to kind of manipulate it all. But yeah, it's a relatively easy thing to do, and thank you for your super chat. David Under says, I find Corsair is okay, just not great. Corsair has been much better. I think of recent times they kind of fallen away from where they were. It used to be that Corsair was like really good stuff and it was high quality, maybe a little bit pricey, but it was a nice ecosystem and it was all very, very well built. But the more recent cases seem to be a little bit on the flimsy side and not really taking due care and attention to build materials and also the build quality in some instances, which is a shame because they were kind of like one of the mainstays of the industry. Yes, Kath?
Let's do in a weird accent and Nighthawks.
Nighthawks, let's do that one because I've just seen that one. Mike, I need advice, please. Good. Please advise. Oh, that bloody thing. I'm going to have to get another keyboard out. Hi, Mike. Need advice, please. I am buying my first AIO. I've been looking at the Lian Hydro Shift LED. I can get it for £150. What is your view? I think the Hydro Shift is a good idea, and for £150 that sounds pretty reasonable if that's the 360. It's a good cooler. It's got some interesting features. I kind of like the way that they have it so that you can hide the tubes and some of the cabling away. They've done a good job on that. My only concern is, now I'm not entirely sure if this is the case or not, but I'm reasonably sure with that you actually need to use the Lian software, the L Connect 3 software, in conjunction for the lighting possibly, whereas the fans and the AIO can be controlled via the motherboard. Now I may be slightly wrong there. Please do feel free to correct me in the chat if I'm wrong. Again, it goes down to the ecosystem thing. If you want to be in the Lian ecosystem, then that is a consideration to make. Get yourself some Lian SL120s or SL140s or whatever Infinity fans you like. Put it all together, get it all configured. We've done a video on L Connect 3 and how to use it, so it's a pretty decent application in some respects. Personally, I'm always a fan of having just 4-pin PWM, 3-pin 5-volt addressable RGB. It's a lot easier. You don't have to mess around with it. If you've got a motherboard which has got reasonable RGB software, MSI, Gigabyte, arguably, ASUS Armoury Crate's not too bad. ASRock's RGB software, yeah, I don't know, I'm not sure what's happened to ASRock. ASRock are really good, and they got some really nice motherboards, and they do some really competitive boards at competitive prices, but their software sucks. It really does. It's horrendous. I would imagine it's probably as bad as BioStar or someone like that.
There's so many I can't keep up with them.
Okay.
Question-wise.
Okay. There's lots of questions.
Just go down from where you were.
Right. I'm gonna.
I think there was one above actually.
Oh,
That's
there was.
Nighthawks, wasn't there?
That was Nighthawks, yeah. In a weird accent. Says, I have a weird question. Okay, let's have. Sorry, hopefully that's answered your question. It's a good price. For the 360 AIOs, you could go for one of the Thermaltake ones. They're really cheap. You can pick those up for about 50 quid. So you could save yourself £100 and get kind of 95% of the performance, as long as you get one with the pump isn't too noisy. Again, get it for Amazon. You can send it back very easily. Matthew Day says, PS, look in email. I can do that. What is it? Oh, bless you. It's not an email. I've gone into PayPal. Matthew Day has sent us a donation. Thank you very much. He says, cheers, and you know why. Yeah, we sent Matthew a little gift, so he's saying thank you. Thank you very much. That wasn't necessary. I didn't do it for that. I didn't want anything for it. That was supposed to be. That's twice I've done that today. I've sent out gifts to people and they've ended up giving me money back, which is arguably worth more than the gift I've sent. So you guys are too kind. You really are. But thank you. We do appreciate it, don't we, Kath? Kath's trying to type quick as she can. Nighthawks. Oh no, you've done that one. Right, I'm going to scroll down to the bottom. Let's have a look. Let's see what's going on.
You keep scrolling up. You need to scroll down.
I'm scrolling down. I'm scrolling down. Mike's ungifting reviews and how to.
Put questions again if you've got
any. Yeah, if you've got a question again, just put it in the chat again now and I'll try and go through them. Dear Lord. Ian McLeod says, my wife needs a stable CPU for 4K video and Photoshop editing. If you're using Photoshop, realistically, Intel processors are probably the way to go. Go for a 12th gen Intel. Can't go wrong. 12600K, 12700K, even a 12900K. You can pick these up really cheap. They're like at fire sale prices right now. Yes, it's somewhat of a dead platform, but I would, well, for Adobe Premiere, an Intel processor is the way to go, 100%. You can use AMD, but just try not to use an AMD graphics card because it's not such good times. Get an NVIDIA graphics card as well. Brian Jones will be building my first gaming computer next week. Bloody escape key is not working, and it's good exercise. This. Do you suggest? Right, this is a question actually we get a lot in the Discord and also in the YouTube comments. People say to me, should I update the BIOS first before I start my build, or should I do the build and then update the BIOS? Now, as a general rule of thumb, it doesn't matter for the largest part, but there is something to kind of bear in mind as a caveat. So if you've got a motherboard which does not support your processor, or is highly likely to not support your processor, you might as well do a BIOS flash to start with, because that way you can test to make sure it actually works. For me, it makes sense to do the BIOS flash first of all. Now, if you've got a motherboard which does not support your processor, you can't install Windows anyway, because nothing will happen. You can't even go into the BIOS because you need to have a working processor on that platform to access the BIOS. So in some respects, you've got no choice but to update the BIOS. But then some people like to just build their system and then do it all after, which is absolutely fine. And you can do that. But as a lot of us will testify, sometimes your BIOS won't flash. And it could be for the most asinine reasons, such as you've got RAM in the RAM slots, or you've got a graphics card installed, or anything. So in order to make a BIOS flash work properly and first time and be easier to diagnose, it's far easier just to do a BIOS update straight away. As soon as you've got the motherboard, get in the box, plug in your power, flash the BIOS. Do that first, because otherwise, if you have other components in the mix that you have to diagnose because for some reason your BIOS isn't flashing, is it your USB stick? Is it your power supply? Is it your graphics card? Is it your memory? Is it your CPU? Is it some wires you've installed somewhere? It could be any of those things. So in terms of forward thinking and planning for it not working properly, doing it first on a minimal set of components, i.e. just the motherboard, is so much easier and can save you so much time. Because the chances are, if you can't get your BIOS to flash when it's fully built, you're going to have to take the damn thing apart anyway. So just cut out the middleman and wasting hours of time in cable management and potentially breaking components or connectors when you're ripping them out. Just do it first. That is my thoughts on it. So yeah, there we go. Alexa says, I'm currently using a 9700K and it's working great. Is that the Intel 9700K? Yes, I guess it would be. Now that we've got a 9700X, it's really confusing. Especially if someone says, I'm using a 9700. But you did put the K on the end, so that's good. In a weird accent says, I like to build first and see, to be honest. Hey, like I said, it's entirely up to you. Do it however you want to. Whatever works for you is absolutely brilliant. But for me, diagnosing things, and also, I'm probably saying that because I'm one of the ones that has to help people on the Discord when things don't go right. So by trying to nip that stuff in the bud at the beginning, makes my life easier. But generally, it's actually quite a good thing because a lot of people don't find our channel until we get to the point that they've got a problem, and then they're, like we all do, something doesn't work, what do you do? Go on to Google, motherboard blah blah blah, BIOS won't flash, and then hopefully there'll be a load of Mike's unboxing videos to help you out there. At least that's the theory. Okie dokie, there we go. And breathe.
Keep breathing out, you don't move.
Rick H says, I'm still using a 12th gen Celeron, does what I need. That's what it's all about. If it does what you need, there's no point spending a ton of money on something you don't need. Ian McLeod says 12th gen alright for DDR5. Yep, absolutely fine.
You've missed it now.
I know. What, questions?
Mm. 'Cause. 'Mm. Let's. 'Cause. 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 'Cause.
Fred Vandermeulen. Also, do you know what the red light on my M.2 means? If it's flashing, it means it's just an activity light. Nothing to worry about. Or if it's... some drives have had in the past, this is really, really rare but possible, some drives have had a warning LED, so if you try to put a M.2 SATA into an NVMe slot, it would light up to say that it's not in the right slot. That's extremely rare. My guess is it's going to be a activity LED. Kenny D says, I have a question. Say I want to switch from an AIO to air cooling. What should I do with the old AIO? It depends. Used or second-hand AIOs have limited value on the resale market. In some instances, you could get lucky and someone will give you some decent money for it. Realistically, if you've got the box, you've got all the packaging, and you've got all the accessories, all the different mounting hardware, chances are you can sell it relatively easily if you adjust your pricing. Especially when you can buy a brand spanking new Thermaltake one for 50 quid. So even if it's like a Freezer 2 or a Galahad or a Fractal S36 or whatever they were, the chances are you're going to get, I don't know, 20, 30, maybe 40 quid for it at best. So there isn't a huge market for them. Considering how much they cost to buy, the resale value isn't particularly high for used AIOs. And also you've got to take into account, no one really knows how you've taken care of it. Has it been absolutely slammed? Has it been left to overheat? All those sorts of things. So yeah, it's hard to tell. Let's have a look. Wick says, what's the best Wi-Fi board for a 4080 Super and a 3800X 3D? I would probably go with a MSI B650 Edge Wi-Fi, as displayed behind me. Or if you want something a little bit darker looking, then the ASUS B650 Tough Gaming Wi-Fi. Either one of those excellent choices and will be absolutely fine for that processor and that graphics card and potential upgrades further on down the line. And they're relatively inexpensive, around about 150 to 180 pounds depending where you're buying. Ian McLeod says, I was gifted the 4080 Super after installed a Mate's Electrics. I think my wife will enjoy that. Damn right, that's pretty good payment. That's well, it was a grand's worth of graphics card at one point. Or was it 800? It's still a lot of money. Brian Jones says, thanks Mike. No worries. Right, let's have a look. Is there any more questions that I haven't come to? If I haven't done your question, just do me a favour, repost it and just put a Q in front of it and I'll try and get through them. Where are we? Rick H says, my M.2 has a blue LED. I think mine in here actually has a green one. It's hard to see behind the M.2 shield, but I think it has. Most M.2 drives do have an activity LED these days. Ian McLeod says, I think I will order it now. Thank you all. I will make sure to use your link to Amazon to buy the motherboard and CPU. You don't have to do that. It's very kind that you're offering to do that, but you don't have to. It's fine. Sorry, itchy foot. Rasher says, I've started buying parts for my new PC to replace my 3700X, 3070 Ti, one from 2019. First and only part I have is the case, a white Lian Li 011D Evo XL. Would you recommend Intel or AMD? Primarily for gaming. To be honest with you, the way things are at the moment, if you're building a new PC, I would either maybe wait just a little bit to see what comes out from Intel with their new 200 series, which actually looks like it might not be too bad. And potentially, due to the problems they've been having that we all know about with 13th and 14th gen and their share prices and all that kind of stuff, hopefully they're going to do something a bit drastic and reduce the prices, but I don't know if they will. So, as with always, prices will probably keep on increasing. You're going to get your Black Friday sales, so depending on when Intel do drop the ball on their new LGA 1851 socketed motherboards and processors, that might be something to pay attention to. Otherwise, realistically, if it's for gaming, you kind of got to be looking at the 7600X3D or the 7800X3D if it's for gaming, or just a vanilla 7700 will do you absolutely fine. Pick those up for about $150 plus VAT from AliExpress at the moment, which is fantastic value for money. Hopefully that answers your question there, Rasher. And thank you, Dave Aiken, for the £2 super chat.
Yeah.
Kath's doing the drinks.
Sorry, Oaks.
She's run back in to grab the remote control.
Scared Oaks.
I do need to re-automate that, don't I? I will have to try. There we go. Thank you, Dave Aiken, for the super chat. Actually, let's click on your thing. And Dave says, "Evening mubbers." How you doing, Dave? Thank you very much. Much appreciated. Matthew Day says, "Was on kitchen and thought you said 5000 series CPU." Is that to me? No. Well, a 5000 series would be good. Like if you want to save a bit of money and you've got some DDR4 knocking around already, like AM4 platform is still awesome. And I don't think AM4 is going to die in the foreseeable. It seems to be, I think it's going to have a lot more life in it than AM3 or AM3 Plus ever did. Because yeah, that was not good times, was it? Anyway, moving on. Markovsky, how you doing, Mark? It says, question, hi Mike, any thoughts on using Windows 11 Storage Sense, which creates a RAID-like setup using Windows? It merges multiple drives into one drive. Now, just the phrase Windows 11 storage spaces actually is giving me palpitations. That scares the shit out of me. I honestly, yeah, don't do it. It's a good idea. The thing is, a RAID system is a good idea for some form of redundancy. When it's actually as your daily operating system, and the fact that there is going to be a software overhead, because there is going to be, like, it's a software RAID basically. So you haven't got any dedicated hardware, which is kind of controlling all the bits and the ones and zeros to go to the appropriate places. Also, they're kind of making it a little bit on the scary side when they're saying that it creates, like, you can just merge multiple drives into one drive, which again is very much eggs in one basket, and also only takes one of those drives to be slightly out of spec. You could have micro stutters. Think of it as like SLI. So if you haven't got exactly the same two graphics cards, the SLI is going to be weird because it's like the graphics card's going to be waiting for the other one to finish rendering. And remember the micro stutters we used to get in games with SLI? Effectively, the Windows 11 storage spaces is going to be very similar to that. I haven't heard anyone recommending it or even using it. So I would say if you wanted to try it to see how it goes, fine. But I would certainly as well have a backup of your backups just in case it goes wrong, because it's very easy for a RAID system, especially a software-based RAID system, to go pear-shaped without the appropriate backups. And being that it's running in Windows, like, there's so much that could go wrong there. It's just not even, no, just don't. Ugh. Literally, hairs stand up on the back of my neck just at the thought of that. Don't do it. Have a nice life. Buy yourself a NAS. Just get a cheap NAS if you want to set up some sort of RAID or you want to have some kind of redundancy. Ooh. Strange stuff. Yeah, don't do it. Alessa says, my writing PC has three 2TB M.2s in RAID 1. I'm trying to work out how that works. Because RAID 1 is... It's late in the day, so bear with me. RAID 0 is striped, so speed. RAID 1 is mirrored. So how can you mirror 3 drives? Or have they got mirrored partitions or drive letters? I don't understand that. I would have thought 3 drives would have been RAID 5. So 4 terabytes of data with the 2 terabyte being a parity disk. Anyway, I don't know. I'm probably overthinking it. Question from Joe FIFA. Question, totally tech unrelated, but what sort of music do you like, mate? Also, has anyone ever told you that you kind of look like the singer from Disturbed? I've been told I look like many people. Private Pile, Arnold Vosloo, The Mummy, Vern Troyer, you name it, I've had lots. So I think someone did mention that about the singer from Disturbed before. I think that sounds vaguely familiar. In terms of what music do I like, to be honest with you, I don't really listen to music. It's very, excuse me, let me drink this a minute. It's very rare that I actually listen to music these days. So I don't drive in the car, so I don't have the radio on. Sometimes when I'm working in the shop, the radio's on, but it's kind of set to absolute 80s or something. So probably most of it, none of you have ever heard of. Lex Luthor, yeah, good one. I've had that before. So, Matthew Day saying RAID 1, triple mirrored, 3-way mirror. Okay. So, but doesn't a 3-way mirror... So, that's 2 terabytes copied over 3 drives. So, 6 terabytes gives you 2 terabytes of storage. I don't see why you would do that. That seems bizarre, because you're losing a lot of storage space there. And does it actually improve performance, or would it lower it because you're writing to 3 drives concurrently? I guess. I don't know. Anyway, moving on. Pitbull 305, thank you. Vin Diesel, good one. It's insult Mike night, thank you. No, those aren't insults. Most of those are compliments, to be fair. Matthew Day says when you absolutely don't want to lose anything. Fair enough. Next question in from Boeing fan. G'day. I'm guessing you're from Australia, or am I just stereotyping a little bit there? So Boeing fan says, G'day, is Defender really a worthy inbuilt security solution, or is an external one better? The thing is, right, you need, with antivirus software and also for security, there's 2 main aspects that you have to look at. So the biggest security risk on any PC is you, the user, because a virus or malware in general, the largest part, requires human interaction to execute it. So whether you go to a dodgy site, open a phishing email, whatever it is, basically it's you. You are the problem on your PC. If you just leave your PC alone and don't touch it, it's almost impossible for it to get a virus, if that makes sense. So when people say like, what is the best software, or what is the best protection, or is Microsoft Defender enough? It is, but it also depends on the user. So in fairness, Windows Defender is quite good, and realistically I would say probably maybe 80% of people don't buy anything else other than that. Now I actually always use additional scanning tools. You can probably have 2 or 3 on your system, so these are like on-demand scanners. So use Windows Defender as your kind of baseline security, so that's a real-time virus scanner. So that's going to do most of the work for you. Then if potentially you think, well, maybe I don't entirely trust it, You can go to various other websites like Hitman Pro, ESET, Avast, loads of places you can go to, Avira, whatever, and they do like on-demand scanners for malware and spyware. So what you could do if you are a little bit concerned that you don't want to wholly trust Defender, you can use those as supplementals, and I do that generally. I've got 2 on my desktop. I've got the Home Start or Home something or other from, I can't remember which company it's from. I think it's like from McAfee or something. But it's like a scanner which basically scans your stuff. And also I put on one today which I think it's from ESET. But again, just another online scanner. So those are fine. Windows Defender is generally okay, but if you are someone who potentially searches for, I don't know, MP3s, MP4s, DivXs, AVIs, game EXEs or patches or Fortnite add-ons, I don't know, anything like that. Anything to customize Windows and you're downloading files from places other than like really well-known sites, then you're kind of taking your life into your own hands anyway. I used to be terrible for it years ago when viruses weren't as complex, using things like Kazaa, Napster, LimeWire, all that kind of stuff. And I think a lot of us of that generation probably learnt a lot back then in the kind of the baby steps of computing and file sharing, that, yeah, not everything that glitters is gold. So you do have to be a little bit careful. So yeah, do watch out for that stuff. Yeah, Ugly Bob saying I use Malwarebytes and Super Anti-Spyware Free Edition. I think that's probably a good way of doing it. Windows Defender in general is pretty decent. I like this username. This is a great one. The Dave B Show main YouTube account. Is your name Dave B, and do you perhaps have a YouTube channel? I'm guessing you might. This is a really annoying with the escape key. Oh God, where was the question? It's gone. Read 5. Sorry, scrolling. Mark says, I think you look quite like that guy from Mike's Unboxing. Similar. Oh yeah. So, hi Mike, hope you're both well. Kath, you well?
Yep.
She's well. I've just bought the AMD Ryzen 5 8500G and fitted to my new motherboard, Asus B650E-F. I just wanted to know your thoughts. Is it a good processor, my friend? This is a hard question to answer, to be fair, because it depends what you want it for and what you're using it for. Now, the 8500G, in terms of if you're on the M5 platform and you want something with integrated graphics, there isn't a lot of other choice, to be fair, that makes sense. So in that respect, yes, it's an excellent processor that covers a lot of bases. If you're considering upgrading at a later date to using a separate GPU, potentially that is going to be when the choice is not quite so clear cut, because it is limited in its PCI Express lanes and also some of its bandwidth. You may find that some graphics cards won't perform at their best with that processor. But from what you've got there, if you're just using it as a desktop PC, running the odd game with the integrated graphics, yeah, absolutely great. And it's a difficult question. It depends on the use case scenario, it really does. And also, if you don't have the money for a graphics card, then these days, kind of what are you going to do? So, yeah, I think it's good. And hopefully you're enjoying it, which is the main thing. It doesn't matter what I think, it doesn't matter what anyone thinks on the internet. If you like it, you're using it, and it does what you want it to do, you're golden. Soulblade says he was in The Mummy. Yeah. Nick Byron says, question, can you link two PCs over a local network to share files or only with a NAS setup? Sure you can, but doubt set in. Yes, you can use... well, there's various ways you can do it. You can do peer-to-peer networking, so directly linking a cable from a PC to a PC using a twisted pairs setup, Cat5 cabling. You can directly link, which is a little bit on the complicated side, but potentially can be done. Because you have to set up a kind of like an IP address for both of them, then also like a default gateway type scenario. Yeah, it's it can be a bit much, but it's possible. You can have direct connections, or if you want to maybe have your NAS, like we've got here, on a separate network altogether, so it's not on your internet as such, you can have a direct connection between your NAS and your PC. Do it that way if you want to, and then have your network or your Ethernet on another port, so they're not connected. Yep, that can be done. Matthew Day says there was a video somewhere on hardening Defender to the maximum. Yeah, we did that not long ago. If you just do a search on the channel for Windows Defender or Microsoft antivirus, you'll see it there. It's actually quite good. I've done it on most of the PCs in the house. Matthew Day, home group sharing. I don't think home group really exists anymore. You can kind of fudge it to come back, but it doesn't really exist. They took that out in Windows 10, I think. O'Reilly says, Microsoft Defender, the premium version of Defender, is for business products and a subscription cost. Yeah, the Windows Defender is a weird beast, because originally when it came out, Windows Defender was the Windows antivirus system. Now Windows Defender is also a perk from having Office 365 or a Microsoft 365 account. Because if you buy Office or you pay for the subscription, you can also have Windows Defender, which is an add-on to Microsoft antivirus, and basically can make it so you can monitor various PCs from a single PC. So they've made Defender, it's a real mess. The whole system's a mess. David Underhill says, number one virus installer are those spam emails with an infected PDF or doc files. Yeah, I've actually done a video. I'm not sure if it's actually been released yet publicly, but it probably is available to members and patrons on how to prevent Outlook, if you use Outlook, from opening attachments as a default, which is like a super risky thing to do. So if you are using Outlook, then worth watching that video. It's a bit of a pain in the ass because every time I want to see something in an email, I have to click on download pictures. But it does give you a slight edge when it comes to those zero-click emails. Collectech Kev's in the house, he said, and welcome to supporter. Thank you, Kev, for helping support the channel. Much appreciated. Nick Byron says, thanks, Mike. We'll check out your previous videos. Still to get the ITX PC set up, so planning ahead. Today, I actually sold, at long last, the Streacom DA6 open frame chassis. And originally, that thing retailed, I think, for about 120 quid, which was quite a lot of money for what it is. I sold it today for the bargain price of £10. Oh dear. It was, that was depressing. Because it is a really nice little tubular frame open PC thing, but I didn't really have a use for it, and it was a little bit fiddly. So you can't really use it as a test bench because it's a bit too much for that. It's kind of like you need to just build it and then just leave it to one side. And yeah, so that's gone, £10. And then he wanted a PCI Express riser cable for it. So I had an old PCI Express Gen 3 one, so I sold him that for a tenner as well. So yeah, it's oh dear. Yes, you know it is. STS-NC says, oh no, I just bought one. Oh no. Yeah, I had it in our Discord for sale for ages, for like, I think about 30 or 40 pounds. Because it was heavy for postage, but this guy he travelled for like, well, he said he was 55 minutes away, so I'm guessing he's got to be 80 to 100 miles away from where we are. And he travelled all the way over, so I was happy to let him have it for a tenner. So, yeah, there we go. STS-NC says, I think it was close to 200 bucks. Yeah. Rasher says, make note, buy stuff from Mike. I do, that is something which I do try and do. If I can, like if something gets sent to me for a review and I don't want it and I don't need it and it's taking up space, I will kind of not quite give it away, but as near as damn it. Like we do need to have a little bit of money to reinvest in the stuff that we're buying, because we're not, well, other than the generosity of you guys out there, we're basically not supported. We don't take sponsorships. We do get commissions from Amazon and all that stuff, and if you're buying your mouse mats, etc., from Technically Stable, links in the video description, and obviously premium CD keys as well. Actually, what am I doing? I can just press the buttons, can't I? They should be working now. There's something really weird with my PC and Stream Deck. It's driving me slightly mad. The previous Stream Deck worked okay, but now I've added another one to the same system. Maybe I should have deleted the other one first. It's doing some weird stuff. I might have to start over. Anyway. Moving on.
Matteo, asked that several times.
Matteo, hi Mike, what do you think of my setup? Ryzen 5 5600G, RTX 2070 Super, 600 power supply, 16 gig DDR4, Aorus 550M. Yeah, great setup. That's going to give you lots of enjoyment, 1080p and 1440p gaming. The only slight criticism is the 5600G is going to be a little bit limited on bandwidth, other than you could potentially sell the 5600G, make a profit, and buy a 5600, and your system would be faster, and you'd have some money in your pocket. But if you got the 5600G, then you're all good. And like I said before, if you're happy with it, it does what you want it to do, awesome stuff. That's all this ever important. It really is. If your system works, you like it, does what you need it to do, hey, it's great. Don't worry about what anybody else on the internet or your friends or anything say. If you love your PC, you love your PC. Simple as that. Markovsky says, I've used that test bench that you reviewed, Mike, twice now, and for £34, it's a keeper. Awesome. My biggest thing with these test benches is that they're bloody expensive for what they are, really, aren't they? You think you can buy like a whole case with 4 RGB fans, like an MSI case, the Mag 100R, 42 quid at the moment on Amazon, or a test bench with like basically a bit of metal for 35 quid. It just seems nuts. But economies of scale and all that, I guess. David Under says 5600G is still okay. My system worked okay with a RX 6600 XT. I think, to be honest with you, a lot of it is a little bit of scaremongering when, like, you watch Hardware Unboxed and channels like that where they're kind of really going into the minutiae of the bandwidth, and like if something is 5 FPS slower than something else, it's like a massive deal. Reality is, for most normal human beings who have got a life, it doesn't make a difference, does it? 5 FPS or 10 FPS, it's like, who cares? Who cares? It's all a bit stupid. And actually, let me ask you guys a question in the chat, because this is a two-way thing. So I actually want to know your opinion on this. So for those of you that don't know, there is a graphics card on the market called the RTX 4070. Now, due to the lack of GDDR6X memory, which is 21 gigabit per second RAM, they've not been able to get it. So they've actually got a new RTX 4070 out, which uses GDDR6, not 6X, and runs at 20 gigabits per second speed. You still get the same amount, and it's basically exactly the same graphics card, it's just got different RAM on it. But it's somewhere between 2 to 4% slower. Now, Hardware Unboxed did a video on this today, and they've sent out a message in their community tab saying, like, should we be extremely pissed off with this? Now, I don't know whether it's because I'm mellowing it in my old age slightly, but I'm like 2 to 4%, same price, same graphics card effectively. Yeah, okay, it's NVIDIA, what do you expect? So I said, basically, it's like, it's nice to be aware of it, but it isn't a deal breaker really. But 70% of their viewers were kind of raging about it. Like, this is end of the world scenario. And I don't know, is it that big of a deal? Let me know what your thought. Don't let me influence your thoughts. Please do be absolutely honest in the chat, because I want it to be open and for you to view your things. I don't want to be in an echo chamber where everyone agrees with me, because that's just pointless. I might as well just talk to myself.
You've got Dutch Jan, it's alright.
Oh yeah, Dutch Jan's here, so yeah, he'll come in with some killer comments. But yeah, let me know what you think. Honestly, like, if your graphics card, like, the thing is as well, if you install something like OneDrive or a piece of software on your computer, there's a chance that your games are going to run 2 to 4% slower anyway. So just because a graphics card is 2 to 4% slower, should we be raging about it? Again, I don't know. In theory, you should be getting what you paid for. They're not making it clear necessarily. Some manufacturers are. Now, to be fair, there are some manufacturers who are going the extra level of actually putting on the box that it is GDDR6 rather than GDDR6X. They're not going to be over the top of saying this is not an X. They're just going to say it's GDDR6. So the reality is probably 90% of people buying these graphics cards won't know and won't care. Realistically. It's only going to be the people that are really into kind of the benchmarks and watching the YouTube videos and all that kind of stuff who take notice of it and will notice some sort of difference. Which is why I think NVIDIA have done it, because it's like they know that there's going to be a small minority of people that are going to be vocal about it and pissed off, but they're probably going to buy it anyway. I think personally, they should have reduced the price slightly. But if the graphics card is, what do they know, £400-ish, £450. So if they reduced it maybe 4%, 2 to 4% in line with the reduction in performance, is that 20 quid off? Is it really worth getting that upset over 20 quid? Maybe not. I don't know. Maybe it is. Markovsky says, if you're happy and you know it, clap your hands. We do that all the time. Kerry Osman says, if NVIDIA can't get faster RAM, they should stop making that model of GPU indefinitely until if the faster RAM becomes available. I think that is, yeah, that's a fair comment. I think they should have possibly kind of either called it something slightly different, or to make it obvious that it is not exactly the same as what was previously advertised. But being that the difference is very small, like 2%, maybe 4% at a push, is kind of margin of error territory. But yeah, in theory they should have just made a new part number, or called it like the Lite, 4070 Lite, or 4070 X something or other. You know, just a very small difference to make it slightly. But then saying that, if they then have to change packaging and design and all that kind of stuff and promotions, the cost of that then might actually make the graphics card cost more than the other one anyway, which then defeats the object. So I can kind of see from some extent why they've done it. But yeah, interesting to hear your thoughts. But yeah, I think a different part number would have solved it very easily. CB says the box must say GDR6. NVIDIA thought it is the same model, no big problem. Yeah, I think if it's having something on the box that was clear would be quite a good idea. So say for instance, like on the side of some boxes, like, oh actually I can probably, no I can't. I was thinking if I've got a box here that comes in colour options, but I don't think I have. So you know, like if you buy something like a sometimes PC case, if you get the black version or the white version, there's like a tick box on the side. Maybe they could have that. So GDDR6, GDDR6X, and just have like a little tick box on the side. Just something like that would be relatively easy to incorporate, but then maybe it's going to create too many new questions. I don't know. Rick H says put a sticker on the box, like they did with the Supers. The early Super cards did have a sticker on the box. STSNC says it's fair to give a slight discount and to be clear about it. Why be sneaky? Yep, fair enough. Zero Defect says it should be the 4069. Markovsky says the way that APUs are being now, low to mid-range GPUs will disappear altogether before much longer, I think. Yeah, we're not far off that. Although we've been saying that for years and it never happens. But it would be nice that it did. Dutch Jan says, don't make it a secret, make it clear. Fair enough. Joe FIFA, thoughts on the 6GB variant of the RTX 3050? People talk shit about it, but I don't want to get one for the winter because of its power efficiency. Electricity in the UK is expensive and I don't play AAA games. To be honest with you, if you're looking at a 3050, the 6GB variant, and you're not playing AAA games, yes, it is a very, very efficient GPU. I would probably go with the RX 6600. You'll probably save about 100 quid, if not more. And it should be faster. Efficiency is not as efficient, but it's very much on par. I think my RX 6600 used roughly about 100 watts maximum and idled it somewhere around about the sort of 10 to 15, maybe 20 watts mark. So it was a very efficient card, very cool running as well. Definitely faster than the 3050 from memory. The 3050 is one of those cards really that kind of really should be avoided. But if you like it, it's affordable and you want it, get it. If you the thing is with RTX 3050, the plus sides or the benefits of buying an NVIDIA card that price category is DLSS 3, ray tracing, and maybe NVIDIA Studio. So DLSS, yeah, arguably that is a win if the game supports it, which not all games do. Mostly it's going to be AAA games, not older stuff, so that's kind of moot point. Ray tracing on an RTX 3050, forget about it. Not going to happen, so that takes that benefit away. So the last one is going to be things like RTX Studio or NVIDIA Studio, or the NVENC encoders, or the AV1 encoders, which, yes, they do have their kind of plus points, but unless you're doing streaming, you probably don't need it anyway. And also the RX 6600, I believe that supports H.265 encoding. Yeah. 3050, I don't know. I don't think so. But up to you. Yeah, Soulblade there says RX 6600 is 128-bit and is a lot better. David Andrew also says the RX 6600 has amazing cost and performance. Fred says, Mike, do you play games? I do try to. I don't really get a huge amount of time for playing games, but I do play a bit of Rocket League, CS2, Fortnite, Far Cry. Used to be into that. Looking forward to Far Cry 7 when that finally arrives. That'll be good, hopefully. What other games have I played recently? Played Starfield, didn't like that. That bored me immensely. That was horrendous. Regret that instantly. Spent a lot of money on that. Oof.
Did you see Matthieu's last one? Is it okay to install NVMe?
Is it okay to... Matthew's asking, guys, is it okay to install NVMe to motherboard without screwing to motherboard? Kind of. Do you mean the little M.2 screw that holds the M.2 drive in place? Now, to be fair, I have used an M.2 drive without it being screwed in. It's just like on an angle. It will work, but if you knock it out of place, you could do all kinds of damage to both the board and the drive and your Windows installation. So I would say probably no. But
yes, he does mean that.
I have done it myself, and as long as it's flat on a deck, it's not really going to go anywhere unless you accidentally hit it.
Screw head broke.
So, realistically, if the screw head broke and that's the only thing, just get some blue tack. Anything like that. A little bit of blue tack or white tack or whatever you've got available, you can just stick it down. Just hold it in place. Worst case scenario, even just like a bit of gaffer tape or even sellotape. Just a little bit of tape on the end around the pillar that it's supposed to attach to.
Or buy one on eBay, can't you?
Yeah, you can buy packs of screws on eBay or Amazon for like pence. Rick H says, what about Intel GPUs? There don't seem to be a lot of stock of those around. Especially in this country. Ugly Bob. Bit of JB Weld will do the trick. Maybe don't take Bob's advice on that particular one. Bob's a mind of information, but yeah, don't put JB Weld on it.
Uggs has been quite...
He's been quite refined.
Tonight.
Yeah, it's been a bit.
Liven up. Is he not drinking?
I don't know. Charles Ballard says, I got Starfield for free when I built my new computer with an AMD RX 6800 XT. I liked it. Played it for about 3 months. I think I'm in a position where I don't have a lot of time for games. So with all the things like the jump scenes between planets and places, and it just seemed like a really elongated story. I think maybe as well because I'm used to the kind of content consumption all the time, it's like it needs to be a bit more snappy. It's playing Starfield is like watching a 1970s or 1980s movie. It's got a certain pace to it which isn't really in keeping with modern times, I think, personally. If you enjoy the game and you enjoy the storyline, then you probably do want it to stretch out and last as long as you possibly can. Or if you've got a lot of time on your hands, it's great. But yeah, for me, neither of those were the case. Zero Defect says Battle Mage out soon. I think it would be great if Battle Mage came out. I can't honestly see Battle Mage hitting the shelves. I would expect to see it after CES in January. If it comes out before then, I'll be very surprised. But there's not a lot of talk about it. It might just appear. But yeah, who knows? But I think we do need something to kickstart the GPU market a little bit. Because as we know, AMD are not going to be aiming for the stars with a flagship product, which is actually, I think that's quite honest of them, because they have previously been aiming for flagship products, but failed pretty much miserably on every account. So I think it's nice that they return out saying, yes, we're not going to have a flagship product that is going to beat NVIDIA. At least we got our expectations tempered. So if you're in the market for like a 4090 or it's something in that region, then you know that the next generation you're going to have to buy another NVIDIA card because AMD aren't going to come close. Or will they? Maybe it's one of those weird ploys where they're going to underplay it so much and then reviewers will get it and it's like, this thing's amazing. You never know. Stranger things have happened. Yes, it will be very strange times. STSNC says, so I am now just starting to build my gaming PC and ran across the 43-inch Odyssey Neo G7 4K UHD 144Hz for $400. I am seeing reviews that are both negative and positive. Hardware Unboxed was negative. To be fair, Hardware Unboxed is generally quite negative for kind of everything. They are... How can I put this politely? Actually, I can't, so I'm not even going to say it. If you watch enough of their reviews, you'll know that they are never really overly positive about anything, really. Occasionally there's the odd thing which, from the thumbnail, would give you the impression that it's a very good product. But then, as you dive deeper into the review, it turns out that it actually isn't. There are some pros and cons, but they're never overly positive, unfortunately. Super chat there from Mark Gaines. Thank you very much, Mark Gaines. Mark, I don't care what they say about you. I think you're a great guy. I'm kidding. What was he saying? Mark Gaines, £10 super chat. Oh, let's click on the like button, actually. I forgot to do that. God, hang on. I'm going to blind myself with this bloody light. Hi, Mike. Just finished my build today. Case MEG Pano M100R. MSI A850GL power supply. Fanshang M2 2TB. Lian Li HydroShift. RX 77XT. Pure 32GB DDR5 Corsair Vengeance, and an AMD 7700X. That's a fantastic system. I bet it looks amazing. What motherboard did you get? Yeah, you haven't put it there, have you? No, what motherboard did you get? I'm intrigued because you got the Pano case. So did you go with a Project Zero board? I hope you did. I'm feeling rather lonely when it comes to Project Zero. Hey James Miscellaneous, just noticed you in the chat. How you doing? Good to see you. Soulblade's giving us a heads up there. By the way, Forza Horizon 4 Ultimate Edition is now on sale on Steam, if anyone's interested.
Otis is. Did you want that game, Oats?
Mark Gaines, yeah, Project Zero 850B. 850B or 650B? You got an 850? The new 850 AMD chipset? If it's an 850, that's very impressive. If it's a 650, it's impressive. But if it's an 850, I don't even think you could buy them yet. Maybe you can. No, I'll wait for the reply on that one. John David Sullivan says, yeah, I was on the fence about AMD's decision, but I watched Tom Moore's Law is Dead, and what he said makes sense. Just means NVIDIA will charge here for their cars, but nothing changes here. Or changes there. Okay. Douglas Burchell, in all uppercase, shouts at us, hello! At Mike's Unboxing, coming over from Kerry Holzman to show your channel and you some love. Thank you very much, Douglas. Much appreciated. We like a little bit of shared love here at the MUB channel. Thank you very much. Actually, Mitch saying earlier that he gave up on his AM5 build. So what are you doing? What's the deal? You gonna go back to AM4, or are you gonna stick with what the PC you had previously, or are you going Intel? I'm interested to know what your plan is. I think if I had to build another Intel system now, I'd go with the 12th gen. I'd go with the 12700 maybe. There is another super chat come in via the magical mysticalness of PayPal. Thank you very much to Stuart Cleary. Thank you very much. That's 20 GPP. Much appreciated. Is there a message on there? Is there?
No, I don't think so. He's put one in the chat then.
Thank you very much. You're a lovely man. Nice one, Mr. Cleary. James Michelin says, at Mitch, understandable if there are issues. Mitch went Intel. I watch him. Alright, you have to excuse my ignorance here. Mitch Hammond, have you got a YouTube channel? That's terrible. Mitch says, my wife told me to get a pre-built. I got an i7 14th gen iBuyPower. It works great. Cool. Hey, as long as it works, that is all that matters. James says, Mitch plays the guitar very well. I might have actually seen your I think I might have seen your channel actually. I'm pretty sure I have. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not into guitars. I don't know a bass from a clarinet. I know that's not an instrument, but you know what I mean. I will endeavour to check it out. I've always wanted to learn to play the guitar, but I'm a left-hander, so it's hard being a left-handed person. Same as golf. People want you to be all right-handed and normal. I cleared that, haven't I?
Oh, have you? Sorry.
Yeah.
My screen won't stand today.
Markovsky says, am I the only one who gets bad eye strain after watching a 4K monitor for a while? Mind you, I am quite old. Potentially, yeah, 4K. Now, there's an interesting thing, I read this recently, that because of the extra information within a 4K screen, it's more information for your eyes to take in. So potentially you can actually get eye strain because your eyes subconsciously are trying to take in lots more detail than you would normally see. Especially if you're looking at like a normal, if you're just looking out a window or you're driving your car or you're walking along the street, because you're kind of used to seeing that. But when it's actually up close and you've got a lot of information compressed into a small area, it can actually give you eye strain. So the thing to do is either sit back a little bit if you can do, or potentially get a bigger screen, which apparently makes it less of eye strain because it's a bigger area and the pixels are kind of widened out. It doesn't look as nice. Like that screen there, that's a 4K screen, it's 24 inches. That thing, if I use it for too long, makes my eyes go really funny because it's like really compressed. It's like looking at an iPad, I guess, if you're not used to it. Last Man Standing says, Mike, you look fantastic in 4K. I look even better in 720p. It takes away some of the lines and wrinkles. But thank you. It's very kind of you to say. Ugly Bob says, McCartney was a left-hander. Was that the first McCartney or the second McCartney? Just asking. His last was a right legger. Ooh. Kath's in the kitchen. She's laughing. James Messina says, you can't strum with them sausage fingers. It's those sausage fingers. Please try to use the Queen's English if you're going to insult me. Oh, yeah, that's true. Nice one, Matteo. He's going to go with the bit of tape. The thing is, yeah, actually, no, I'm going to shut up. That's fine. Bit of tape will be fine. Not perfect, but it'll do. You might be able to actually take out, if the screw thread is stuck in the pillar, you might be able to actually remove the pillar as well. I think it's normally either a 5mm or 6mm hex socket to take those out. And you should be able to replace it. Mitch says, I do have a YouTube channel and I still have an ATX case. Power supply, RGB fans, I'll buy something from Amazon to put in it. Nice one. Again, if you're using Amazon, feel free to use our affiliate codes. You don't have to buy just computer stuff, anything you buy. If you click on one of our links, subsequent purchases will all go to our affiliates. So even if you're just buying, I don't know, your Morrison shopping or a new bag or towels, washing powder, washing machine, anything. Ergonomic bottle openers. Douglas says, I've heard that as well. What's that, about the compressed nature of a 4K screen? Yeah, I think it gets worse. That's why people's eyes are getting worse, because like we're using tablets and mobile phones, which mobile phones are like super high resolution, and if you use a phone for an extended period, you get a kind of like a compressed vision. Strange. Anyway, moving on. Ugly Bob says, yeah, I use proper English in it. Excellent stuff. Ugly Bob says, I bought a shed ton of iPads and used the affiliate link, and I hate iPads. Thank you, Bob.
We saw that, didn't we?
O'Reilly says, hopefully PayPal takes less of a cut from donations than YouTube. Yes, very much so. Yeah, if you want to send donations to this and you don't want to put it through YouTube and Google, they take 30-40%. So if you send us a tenner, we get maybe £6 or £7 if we're lucky, and then we have to pay tax on that, which is another roughly 30%. If you do it via the medium of Patreon or PayPal, there's a small processing fee from both of those. Normally it's in the region of kind of single digit percentages, maybe, I don't know, 3-5% or something if it's foreign currency. If it's UK pounds and you do it as like friends and family, then it's just we get the whole amount. Well, other than what we have to give to the tax man. I'm still not too sure if I should see a tax specialist, because I'm not sure if donations are tax exempt. You'd think they kind of would be, but then knowing what our government is like, and they tax inheritance stuff, so yeah, I'm not entirely sure. At the moment I do pay tax on it all, but it would be nice if we didn't have to pay tax on donations. Anyway, that's another story. JB27, how you doing? Dropping in to say hello to Mike Gath and the kids, the kiddies, and all the mubbers. Thank you very much. Cheers, James. Hopefully you're doing okay. Last Man Standing UK says, under the Labour. Haha, dream on. Yeah. Andy Archer says, you should become a tax-free charity. Oh, God. No. I can imagine what the paperwork would be like for that. Not good. Mark Berry says, apparently all the millionaires are leaving the UK. Sir Keir will be doing an exit next. An exit tax next. Sorry. Mick says, I think you have to be a registered charity to be exempt. Yeah, there are ways you can go about it, and yeah, I don't think it's very easy. Right, I have some jobs to do, so I'm going to make a start on that. I actually purchased this Synology NAS from a good friend of the channel, Andy Archer. Got this for a pretty decent price, I must say. And he did clean it before it came, but I've left it in a room. Well, I left it in my son's room because this is going to be my son's NAS. So I'm actually going to give it a little bit of a clean. Kath's going to be cleaning as well, cleaning her desk after she gets cinnamon icing off of her desk from her cinnamon bun rolls that she's about to consume. Don't worry about me, I'm fine.
Do you want one?
No, I'm alright. I'm only joking. So let's give this a little bit of a wipe over. I haven't done one of these in quite a while. So it's going to get the cloth moist. A lot of people dislike that word, so I'm going to use it. Is there another donation coming in? Kath's on the ball. From John Hutchinson, sent you £10. Live stream donation from. Oh, I don't know. Should I say the name out loud? Because that's information there. So I don't know. Well, you know who it is, who sent it. So if you don't mind me saying who it is from, let me know in the chat. And that way I'll know that you don't mind me saying the name. But I know some people are a little bit, like, want to be a bit anonymous. So let me know. But thank you. I know who you are. So if you want to remain quiet, feel free to remain quiet. So let's give this a little wipe down, get rid of all the cat's hairs. Unfortunately, when you've got 6 cats in the house, it is kind of like one of those things that you are going to get cat's hairs on things. So
Not on your head.
yeah, not on my head. It'd be funny actually if I could get cat's hairs to like get some follicle transplants and Get them going in the old Barnet.
Imagine how soft your fur be.
I'll have like a proper full-on cat mane.
Oh, like a lion.
Just come onto the streams and like,
Or
give it the shake.
Or
I'd be the king of the jungle.
Whiskers, and you'd have like little bristly, sticky out hairs.
Click Kev says, I thought 2 cats were bad. Yeah. Honestly, I vacuum the house every day. That is part of my, like, when it comes to my turn to go to the pearly gates and meet up with the G up there, and they'll be like, Mike, what did you regret doing most in your life? And they'll be like, vacuuming cat hair.
Shut up, you love vacuuming.
I like vacuuming in general, but not cat hair. Right, now this is a really bad thing which I'm about to do, because I actually got 2 drives which are not the same, which is generally not a good idea in a NAS, but we're pretty clean in here. Actually, I've never checked to see what RAM is in here, and the chances of me seeing that are virtually 0, so I'm going to grab myself a little torch, which conveniently is a Mike's Unboxing pen at the same time. And that is...
That's be bad.
Ooh. So I've actually got a little bit of an upgrade in here, because normally this is the Synology DS220 Plus, I believe. I better check that actually. Yep, 220 Plus. Now normally when you buy one of these from Synology directly or from Amazon or whatever, this would normally come with 2 GB of RAM installed from the factory. Whereas this one appears to have actually been upgraded by Andy Archer, which I wasn't aware of, so that is a nice little surprise. And this actually has 4 GB of DDR4 RAM running at 2666, I believe.
O'Reilly don't mind.
So that is, O'Reilly, thank you very much for the PayPal donation, much appreciated. You're a lovely man. If you ever want to replace the RAM or change the RAM on your Synology DS220 Plus, it's really easy to do. So you just take the drives out, and there's little pins there, and you can just take your RAM out. So if you want to upgrade it, I think the maximum these will actually be able to use, I've got a feeling it might be 8 GB, but 4 GB is more than adequate. They come as standard with 2, and they run nicely with 2 anyway. I think I actually, is that 6 GB of RAM? Does it come with some on the board already? Is Andy Archer still in the chat? I didn't see.
I think so.
I've got a sneaking suspicion this might actually have 2 GB of RAM on board anyway, and this makes it to 6 GB, which I think is what I did on mine.
Yeah.
Andy Archer says there is one under the case. Yes. So this is probably got 6 gigs in total. Yes, Andy is there. There is one under the case. There are 2 SIMs. So let's investigate that. I've got to remember how to open this thing now. God, it's been such a long time since I had one of these. Do I need screws to take this apart, or does it just unclip? I can't remember. I thought there were screws you had to take out to get it to the inside of this. Maybe you don't. Or did I not take mine apart? I don't know. Hopefully he's going to say. It's a bit of an awkward beast to open. Yeah. It's been so long since I've done one. I'm sure it just cracked open from the bottom, but there must be a screw somewhere. Right, I'm not going to do that anyway. I'm not going to take it apart. If it's got the RAM in there, it's got upgraded. That's awesome. I might steal that. George don't need 8 gigs of RAM. So to put the RAM in, just put it in the slot, and there we go. Happy days. Mark Gaines coming with a super chat there. Cav's got greasy fingers now. Don't get greasy fingers on my remote control, god damn it.
I could do one at a time.
Too late, he's done it. £5 from Mark Gaines. Thank you very much, Mark. Much appreciated. He says, sorry for fat fingers, it's a B650M motherboard. Now, maybe you guys are in the same position as me, I don't know. Where are the the AM5 Project Zero boards in ATX? There's one or two micro ATX ones, but there doesn't seem to be a single one.
Oh.
There's another super chat from ClickTech Kev, £2 there. It says, enjoy your £1.40. I'm sure YouTube will cherish the 60p. Yeah, the bastards. Thank you very much, Kev. Much appreciated. Wow, you guys are being really generous tonight. This is awesome. You're generous most of the time. But yeah, this is very impressive. Thank you all so much. Is it payday or something? Did I miss out on... Actually, what's the date? 14th. Maybe it is. Halfway through. Maybe.
Give out some.
We've got something we can give back. We've got some YouTube memberships we can give out. So let's fire some of those off. Because we haven't done that for a little while. Andy Archer says, you need a button for your PayPal. That's a good point. We could do that. That's a good idea. Got buttons for everything else. So, Nicholas Barlow has been gifted a membership. Peter Stiff also been given a membership. Carl Kidling, Rob, and Ruggers Customs. Nice one. So there you go. There are 5 memberships. So with the memberships, you get early access to some of the video. Well, basically all the videos. Somebody complained actually recently. Now, I feel I should address this actually whilst we're on the subject. So, somebody commented on a video, or maybe it was the Discord. It might have been the Discord. Now, recently I've done a video, which actually I think is going out on Monday, which is how to do a clean installation of NVIDIA drivers without having to resort to safe mode or using DDU. It's a really cool little video, but somebody wanted to know how to do it. And I said, I'll send you a link. Of course, I've sent the link, but it was a members only video. Or I might be getting this a little bit confused, but basically the long and short of it is they come back saying, I can't be supporting anybody who keeps content behind the paywall, so I'm not gonna stick around. I'm not gonna be a subscriber. And I'm like, okay, fine. So my answer was, and also to let you know that we don't hold any content behind a paywall. Every single video that we make, which gets released, will first of all go to patrons. It then gets released to members, and then finally it goes out to the public. So if you think for some reason that we're withholding content from you behind a paywall, that isn't the case. And at the moment, we've got no intentions of ever doing that because, well, ultimately we want to get as many views as possible on every video. So hiding it behind a paywall is just no sense whatsoever. And we're never going to make enough money on memberships and paywalls to make that even worth it without alienating a lot of people, which we've been serving videos to for 7 years now, whatever. So however you see these videos, and if you see a video come up and it says members first on a video, that is the thing. But don't feel that you're going to be prevented from seeing any of our videos because you're not a member. Because we've kind of always
feel that if the members are doing something, they get it a little early.
Some of you contribute to the channel in various ways, either Patreon or memberships, and we wanted to give you something back. Now, we're not rolling in cash. We give out the occasional gift, t-shirt, pen, whatever it is, occasionally when we can. But something we can do through YouTube and PayPal is to give you early access to content. Now, whether that is a beneficial thing to you, I don't know. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. But it isn't. Don't think of it as ever being as a paywall, because that is something we will never, ever intentionally do. Unless we get forced into doing it by some third party or by YouTube or whatever. But yeah, I just wanted to make you all really clear that. Because it's actually kind of, it's a little bit offensive when people think that we would do that. Because we're not that sort of people. And especially if it's someone that doesn't really know the channel. So it may look like we are doing that, but let me reassure you, we definitely are not. Anyway. that is my rant over. Another super chat there, and a super sticker. Thank you very much. Much appreciated. From Don Dima TV. Thank you very much, Don Dima TV. They've donated 100 ARS. And I'll be honest with you, I have no idea what those are. But thank you very much. It says there, let's celebrate their first super on a live stream. Yeah, we are celebrating that. Thank you very much, Don Dima. Yeah, we've been given 100 arses. What's an ARS? I like these things because it's a little bit of a puzzle. So what is an ARS? ARS. I have no idea. Yeah, I've got no idea what country that might be from. ARS. The R just reminds me of rubles for some reason, but I don't think it's anything to do with that. Oh, Argentine peso. Is that what it is? ARS, that makes sense, I guess. Yeah, Argentina pesos. Thank you very much. Much appreciated. It's Argentinian. Sounds like something Bob would send. Awesome. Thank you very much. Much appreciated. Markovsky says, I can't see how anyone would complain about your service mic. The info you give out alone is worth its weight in gold. Thank you. That's very kind. Some of it is, I guess, I don't know. I probably don't see the value in some of the things that I actually do, to be fair, because if I kind of know it and I'm talking about it, to me it hasn't got much value because I already know it. But I guess to people that don't know what they're doing or need a little bit of hand holding, then yeah, I can see that. So yeah, I guess so. I've always struggled with that. Always struggled with my own self-worth. It's always been a problem. I've always, like whenever I've done jobs for anybody, charging them for doing work, I've always undercharged. It's just the way I am. I struggle to, like, I know some people like plasterers, that sort of thing, they'll come around and do work and they're like 300 quid for a day's work or whatever. It's like, bloody hell. Whereas I'd spend a day working on someone's PC and like maybe I don't know, take 20 or 40 quid off them. So yeah, but I do that.
They've got to buy their bits as well, haven't they?
Rasher says same as me. Yeah, it's difficult, isn't it? It really is. And O'Reilly says I like Mike's rants. It's not really a rant. I just want to put people know what we're coming from. Lucky Man says 100 Argentine pesos equals 0.79 pounds sterling. Awesome, thank you very much. And there is a super chat from Raj D. Thank you very much, Raj D, for your 5 UK pounds. Bless you for that. Much appreciated. Thanks, Raj. You didn't leave a message or anything. You're more than welcome to leave a message in your super chats and we'll read them out. Or if you just want to say something kind, you can do that. Entirely up to you. But thank you very much. Say something unkind, yeah, I don't mind. If you're paying for it, you can say me like, or you baldy git, you can say things like that, and it's absolutely fine. Because you're paying for the privilege. Markovsky says everything free of value is everything free is of value to someone. Awesome. Fred says you two are good people. We try to be. We've often had a kind of an ethos or a belief in karma, and a belief that if you try and do as best you can and do right by people, then hopefully people will try and do right by you. We've been really blessed that we've got an amazing community of people that are just, yeah, basically I think most of you are of a similar mindset where you kind of, yeah, if you can help someone, you'll help them. Not for the point of getting help back, but just because that's the kind of people you are. So it's cool. So yeah, it's awesome. Raj. I'm lurking in the background working on a server in VMware. Well, best of luck to you. I struggle with VMware. I can't get VMware to work. I've always wanted to set up a Windows 95 or maybe Windows 98 or Windows ME image so I can play Midtown Madness or Motocross Madness or maybe even Unreal Tournament, like in it in its original format. And I've never been able to do it. I keep on trying, but yeah, some things like that. I know it's supposedly quite easy, but I just... something in my mind doesn't click when I try to do it, so it is what it is. Commander Viriatus, question, can you connect lower gen type USB-C on the case to higher gen on the motherboard? Yes, you can do. With USB-C, it's designed so that it is fully forwards and backwards compatible and will downclock itself to the lowest common denominator. So if you've got a 20 gigabit per second port on your motherboard, but your case has only got a 5 gigabit per second, it will downclock itself automatically, so you'll only ever get 5 gigabit per second from it, even though technically it's a faster port. It works bidirectionally, so if you've got a 20 gig port on your motherboard, sorry, on your case, but your motherboard's only got a 5 gigabit one, it will still run at the kind of slowest common denominator. David Andrews says, my YouTube channel equals 20 plus Linus Tech Tip channel videos. Thank you. We try. We try. ClickTech says it's not exactly float plane. No, it's not. Shiny Helmet says, how much is it to call you Baldy Git? Anything, whatever you like, whatever you can afford. Just,
You did it for nothing though.
yeah, you did it for nothing, effectively. I called myself it, so. I don't take myself too seriously, and I suggest that no one should really. Life's too short. We've all got our failables. We've all got our things which make us less than perfect, but no one's perfect. David Underhill got a freebie in there. Baldy Git. Thank you very much. O'Reilly says, I totally believe in karma and luck, and I tapped out the bank yesterday. Yeah, O'Reilly is lucky to be with us after losing a front wheel on a car. Thank you, Charles Ballard. That's what I meant to say. Anyway, let's get these drives installed. So, like I said, this is not really what you should do. But sometimes, well, it's fine. It depends what is you're storing. This is going to be mostly my son's video footage and bits and pieces. So, got two drives here, 8 terabytes. These are also from Andy Archer as well. So, we've got a Toshiba N300, 8 terabyte drive. And also we have a Western Digital. This is WD80EFAX. EFX, yeah, EFAX. Again, 8 terabyte drives. They've got slightly different cache sizes, I believe. I think this one's got 256, that one's got 128. And there's different spin speeds. I think that one's a 70, yeah, the Toshiba's a 7200. I'm pretty sure this is a 5400. But it's fine. For the intentional use of it just being a mirrored drive, it's going to be fine. If it was more than 2 drives, like a 3 or 4 drive setup, then it would be a little bit more concerning. But for this, it's going to be absolutely fine. So I'm going to stick our drives in. There you go, in that way. This is a slightly older version of the Synology drives, which have got screws in them still. Some of the more modern ones don't have the screws in. I'd like to have the screws in a drive just so you know that it's held in. Sometimes the little plastic parts don't feel very confidence inspiring. And being that this has got screws and also rubber washers, that should in theory help to reduce some of the noise profile. So with these drive cages, when you're taking the NAS apart for maintenance, like cleaning it, dust, etc., or maybe even swapping out a drive, they are marked up on the top there. So drive 1 and drive 2, there's a little dot on each one. It's actually a really good idea if you can, just to make some kind of mark actually on the drive sleds themselves as well. So what I might do, I was going to use my P-Touch machine to print out a proper label, but what I might end up doing is just get a Sharpie pen and drop the drive. Yeah, I was going to write it on there, I think. So I've got a metallic Sharpie pen, which I think will be actually a lot easier. And I just love using the Sharpie pen because they're pretty freaking cool. So if you've not seen one before, you can get these. They're basically it's a paint pen. This one is in silver. No. I haven't stolen your paint pen. I might have done a little bit. Don Dima, is 64 gigabytes of RAM worthless for gaming? Well, not necessarily worthless. It's probably overkill. 32 gigs, I think, is pretty much what most people will consider to be enough. So I'm going to put I'm going to have the 7200 drive as drive number 2, and this writes on there, drive number 2. We get our pen, and hopefully it hasn't dried up. Oh god. David Under says, Mike, it looks like you've practiced hand movement for years. I have worked in a car shop for a long time, so we do mix paints.
And you got your ergonomic bottle opener.
Yeah, and I got my ergonomic bottle opener. Now let's work out which way does that go in. Yeah, that we're using that way.
Can you still play games on a hard drive rather than SSD?
Yeah, you can do. So this is drive number 2, so I'm just going to write number 2 on there with my left hand. So now, just for reference purposes, I'm not sure if you're actually going to be able to see that, but I'll try and give you a close-up. So I've just written a number 2 on there. So if I ever take the drives out for doing maintenance or for cleaning or anything, at least we know which one comes from which bay. And actually, on the drive itself, I'm also going to write on there just a number 2. So I know it's drive 2. So if I ever take the drive out of this caddy, that is a thing with RAIDs and for kind of, well, NASs in general. Really, you should take them apart and clean them down periodically, especially if they're in a slightly dusty environment. And when you take them apart, if you don't put the drives back in the right place, potentially you might get issues with your actual RAID, which is obviously not a good thing to happen. So I've got drive number 2 in slot number 2. Now I'm going to do the same with the other drive as well. Okay, it's pretty basic stuff, but stuff like this, the only reason I know is because I've done it before. I've taken drives out of my NAS, and then I've put it all back in, not thinking about it, because I'm thinking, well, it's a RAID, they're all the same. No, they're not. And the system doesn't see them as being all the same either.
Adam's in.
Hey Adam, how you doing? So yeah, that is basically how I've learned these little things. When I've put a NAS back together, tried to power it up, and it said that basically all 4 of my drives are toast. And it's like, that is my backup of my life. That does not make me happy. So make sure you always put your drives back in the appropriate drive sleds in the right place, so when your system comes back online, it looks at your drives and goes, yep, that is the right drive in that position, and we can carry on happily, rather than having to spend... Normally, if you have to rebuild a RAID array, depending on the size of the drives and the amount of data, it can take days to rebuild an array, and all that time your system is going to be running at very, very reduced speeds, if at all. So it's definitely worth bearing that kind of stuff in mind. And a lot of people don't, understandably, because it's majorly boring shit. But anyway.
Can you read that from there?
Can I read what? Hang on, I've got to write a number 1 on here. This is drive number 1. Hang on, I've got to go and read something. Hold the line, caller. I'll be back in a moment.
Read it on your phone, because it's Mike's unboxing email.
Oh, is it? Okay. PayPal. Oh. There's some from Mitch. So, you very kind people. I don't know what's going on. Like, people just throw money at us. Is it a full moon? So, Mitchell Hammond sent us 1824. Thank you very much. And also, there's a good friend of the channel, Colin Hilton.
He has his own.
He's got his own channel as well. No, so feel free to visit. And also, saying that, who's got his own lights? Oh, got you, sorry. Yeah, and to confuse things even worse, they both got lights going at the moment, RGB lights. Both Colin Hilton and Mitch have both got their own YouTube channels as well, and they're both extremely generous. Colin Hilton sent us a £20 donation. Thank you very much. Wow, you guys have been awesome tonight. I'm not going to choke up. I'm not. I've got something in my eye. You guys are too kind. You really are. Okay, so I've got to draw number 1 on here as well. I don't have to, but I kind of like to do it. And the thing is as well, because this is going to be my son's NAS, or sorry, our son's NAS, I should say. It's going to be in his bedroom, more than likely. So I'm probably not going to see this again for ages until there's a problem. So at which point, when there is a problem and we have to look at it, it's going to be great that I've got the drives numbered up. Would be number 1s, number 2s. So if I do take it apart and we're trying to kind of troubleshoot it, then I know which drive goes in which bay. And if for some reason the wrong drive is in the wrong bay, I know that George has been pissing around with it and has basically put the drives in the wrong thing because he's probably kicked it because it's under his desk. Now, don't put a NAS under your desk. It's a really stupid place to put it. So definitely don't do that. But anyway, that's how you install the drives. It's really simple. And you push that lever up. You can remove the drives out, take them out again. It's pretty straightforward stuff. And I think for a lot of people, there's a lot of controversy on who does the best NAS. And I think it's going to come down to what you actually want from your NAS. Sometimes with a NAS, if you're doing mostly kind of more business orientated stuff, or you're not doing your kind of typical multimedia stuff, your Plex, all that kind of stuff, then I think Synology really do lead the way in terms of the software. With Synology, you get less hardware, but you get better software. Whereas with other NASs, such as ASUSTOR and QNAP, TerraMaster, etc., they generally give you a lot better hardware, but the software is somewhat limiting. So you have to kind of work out what it is you're actually trying to achieve. If you're just making a very rudimentary basic file system for network access, and that is all you're doing, like a big shared drive, then basically any of them will do. So just get the fastest or biggest one you can afford. If you're going to be relying somewhat on the software, now here in the home and for Mike's Unboxing, we do use Synology's Active Backup for Business, which I cannot rate high enough. I think it's fantastic. It's a free piece of software, comes with your Synology. I think you can connect up to 5 accounts and 10 PCs. So for most people, for home users, it's going to be absolutely fine. I think you can buy extra licenses if you need to. They may have expanded that recently to 20, I'm not entirely sure. But Active Backup for Business is awesome. It's kind of like the best features of a lot of paid software all rolled up into one. So you can do bare metal recovery. So if that PC behind me fails entirely, I can just put a new disk drive in there, get a USB boot drive from Synology, download it, put it on there like you do with Windows Creation Tool. You can do that, stick it in the computer, it'll boot over the network. I can log into the NAS with my credentials. I can then restore my PC from the latest backup from the NAS, and of which, from me at the moment, I keep 10 snapshots. So basically 2 weeks worth of backups. So Monday to Friday, backup every day. So if the worst happens and I find something's missing, even 2 weeks ago, I can kind of roll back. You can go further if you want to, it's entirely up to you, but you can have as many snapshots as your drives will take. And it also does drive deduplication. So rather than doing like, that's a 2 terabyte drive in there, rather than doing like 10 terabytes for a week's backups, it still was only like 1.5 terabytes for all the PCs in the house, because they're all running Windows, they've all got very similar programs. So rather than have each image have all of the programs, it knows where they are, so it can distribute them across all of them. It's very clever how it works. So yeah, it's a space saver, it works very well. CAS PC, my video editing PC, my streaming PC, my laptop, PC in front room, all of them back up every single day to Synology Active Backup for Business. It's all completely automated. It's brilliant. Mitch says, you're so honest, which you don't see a lot on tech channels these days. I've never ever seen you condescending like others. I probably do. I might just hide it well. I try not to. We all got to learn somewhere. And to be honest with you, I'm not entirely sure of the actual meaning of condescending. really.
Talking down to, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't talk down to people because it's pointless, because I don't know everything, and there's people, lots of you guys in the chat know a lot more about PC stuff than I do for certain areas, so yeah, I wouldn't dream of doing that. If someone argued a point with me about something I knew about, then I might argue my point and get a little bit kind of like aggressive about it. Say, no, this is the way. But yeah, generally I don't, unless it's Kath. Yeah, she's fine. What was I saying? Yeah, so yeah, Synology's active backup for business for me is worth the ticket price alone for the price of the drive. So if you're paying for something like, I don't know, a Cronus being one that I think of, because I see it on Kerry Holzman, he loves that software and uses it all the time because his business setups he keeps them all the same, so they all run a Cronus. It's all like a very straightforward setup to do, and it does a very similar thing. I'm not sure how much a Cronus is per license or per office or whatever, no idea, but after seeing some other products on the market which work in a similar way, they're kind of £100 to £200 a year for a license, whereas this you can pick up for kind of £200 to £300 new, plus the price of drive. So after a couple of years, it's going to pay for itself anyway. And also, the software is there; it's all ready to go. It's kind of pre-baked. So yeah, it's awesome. And that's just one of the things, other than all the other things you can install in there, like Plex, their Office suite, their server software, their mail server software. It's all sorts. But yeah, I like using Synology. I think it's good. The only thing which I think really lets them down is the fact that they seem to refuse to want to install 2.5 gigabit Ethernet on basically any of their models, which I think is a shame. Gigabit is very much what everyone uses anyway, but ASUSTOR, QNAP, etc. are all putting 2.5 gigabit or more in. So yeah, it is. I guess it is what it is. And also, they don't have many USB ports. But there's one on the back, one on the front. So a USB backup drive maybe installed on the front, and connect to a UPS on the back, and that's all your ports done. But I suppose you can add more if you wanted to, but just it seems to be the way that Synology are. Not a lot of RAM, slightly slower processors, lacking Ethernet speeds, lacking USBs, but the software is incredibly good and incredibly stable. And of all the NAS brands which have had vulnerabilities or threats against them, Synology have probably come out the best in terms of being open and upfront about what's going on, and seems to be rather robust. There was last year, or was it the year before, it got to a point where I think it was QNAP were telling people just to unplug your drives from the wall, just unplug it, because we haven't got a patch for what is going on at the moment and they're being hacked left, right and centre. So yeah, Synology have never been quite that bad, I don't think. They might have been years and years ago, but that's before I followed it, so I don't know. But of recent times, Synology have been very good in mitigating any security vulnerabilities. Anyway, so there is the Synology setup ready for George to start using. And I would love to go through and do the entire setup live to show you how it all works. But unfortunately, because of the kind of the nature of how these work and the serial numbers, the IP addresses and the MAC addresses for the network cards, etc., it's hard to actually do it without really struggling to kind of work out what I can show and what I can't. On a pre-recorded video is fine because I can edit out bits, or I can put like rectangles or block boxes or something over the important or sensitive text. So yeah, it's a shame. I really do want to do a live setup on one of these, or even the ASUSTOR ones, but yeah, sadly I am unable to. So I'll put that to one side for now because that is done. That's all I needed to do to that, so that's awesome. Let's have a look at some of your questions and see what you are all saying. Well, actually, just clear that off there. How was your cakes?
Yeah, they're nice. Might have my half an Easter egg now.
Yeah, go on. Okie dokie. So I'm going to look through, see what you guys are saying. Lucky Man says condescends only on a Friday. Yeah, maybe. Chris McGraw says, I have a 5600G rig collecting dust and still thinking if I get drives to make a NAS with it. I was thinking maybe SATA SSD instead of using rust drives. The thing is, if you're using solid state storage as your primary storage in a NAS, the drives are going to die quite quickly. Well, at least a lot quicker than a hard disk drive would. Because the way that solid state storage works and the actual kind of bits or the RAM, they've only got a limited lifespan. And because of how a NAS constantly rewrites and moves files around effectively, your drives aren't going to last anywhere near as long as mechanical drives will. A mechanical drive in a NAS can last kind of anything between, I don't know, 3 to 23 years, maybe even longer. I'm guessing there's somebody who's had a NAS going for longer than that, but it's not unusual to see a spinning drive go for 10 to 20 years. SSD's not going to come close, not even remotely close. So although you get the speed benefits or potential speed benefits, you're always going to be bottlenecked by one part of your system. So whether it's your Ethernet connection, whether it's your M.2 drives, whether it's your PC, there is going to be a bottleneck of some sort. So if you're looking at a NAS or looking at your PC, so 5600G, say for instance you've got a 1 gigabit Ethernet port. So gigabit Ethernet is going to give you, I think you're going to max out about 150 megabytes per second. So even a normal spinning rust drive can do that easily, up to about 280-ish, some drives, SATA drives. So you're going to be spending money on drives which are going to be faster than your Ethernet connection. So then you may be looking at 2.5 gigabit, which is going to give you around about 280 megabytes per second. But then you still need a 2.5 gigabit Ethernet switch, and also the other PC is going to need it as well. So all of the links in the chain need to be the same speed or higher to remove that bottleneck. I think you get up to like 10 gigabit where you're transferring some of the reasons like a maximum of like around about 1.25 1250 megabytes per second. So at that speed, then you're going to need SSDs, and quite a lot of them, in a pretty highly spec'd unit to get that kind of transfer rate. It is possible, but then you've got the expense of a 10 gigabit Ethernet switch and 10 gigabit Ethernet cards in your PC, in the NAS. Yeah, it's hard work to work out what is best. Personally, I think for most people, spinning rust drives are absolutely fine and will last you a long time, and they're relatively inexpensive. And they're quite robust. But if you want to go for something quiet, then it's all good. Hey Thanos, how you doing? Nice to see you in the chat. And John Wick. John Wick says, Mike's Unboxing, can you review Orbi 5G home internet router? Which one? What, 5G as in you put a network card in, or a SIM card? Or are you on about the like Wi-Fi 6 running at the 5 gigahertz? Because I've actually got a Orbi router, that's what we use. Netgear Orbi, it's the RBR50, I think it is. I'm trying to think, who do we get that off of? Is that Kev?
Yeah.
Yeah, Kev2427 sold us that ages ago. It's good actually, quite like it. Mark Ofsky says, I sure do need to do something with my spinners. I've got around about 10 terabytes lying around just gathering dust.
Dutch Jan at the bottom.
Dutch Jan, question, SATA or SAS in a NAS? I've never used SAS drives, so I don't know. SAS, I guess, has its advantages. I would probably, for the compatibility and the ease of use and the ease of availability, I would probably just go with regular SATA, to be honest with you, like a SATA HDD. Thanos says, hey Mike, have you ever done any video on how to install virtual machine? No, funny enough, I was saying about that earlier in the stream. I'm useless at virtual machines, absolutely useless. Like even ones which have been pre-made, which I download, I struggle to get running. I am absolutely horrendous with that. I don't know what it is, just something in my, you know what it is, like there's some things in life where you know the principles and you understand it, but you just cannot do it. Soldering is one thing which I cannot do, which I know the principles, but I just can't do it. Yeah, I am using the wrong hand. And virtual machines, I struggle with that as well. Nick Barnes says, that's interesting about HDD speeds and durability. I assumed SSD, etc. would be better. No, SSD speeds are, well, SSD speeds can be better. Don't get me wrong, they can transfer speeds quicker, but the durability is considerably less. I think it's like a 4-to-1 ratio. So a hard disk drive is going to last roughly 4 times longer than an SSD. The worst case scenario. Best case scenario is going to last a lot longer. Andy Archer says the X Data Center Enterprise 14 terabyte drives on the Discord were £100 each, delivered with extra warranty available. Yeah, I thought I ordered them. Maybe I didn't. They had 14 terabyte and 16 terabyte drives, I think, or 10 terabytes. They were ridiculously cheap. I should have got some. I wanted to get some. David Underhill says Mike has enough dramas with real machines, let alone virtual ones. Yeah, that's not far off the truth there. O'Reilly says I have a pre-built Western Digital NAS box and drives. Western Digital share space 4 terabyte, dates back to 2008, still going strong. Wasn't there something about those Western Digital NAS boxes which they were saying you should take them off the network because they run SMB1 and it can't be turned off or something? There's some vulnerability in it. I might be wrong on that, but that seems to ring a bell. Check with the drive and the manufacturer, but I'm sure those were basically shut down. They shut down the service for them. I might be wrong, it might be a different model, but maybe look into that, O'Reilly, just in case. I'd hate for your data to be compromised in some way, shape or form. It's never good, is it? Inspector X says that the 12600KF or 12700KF are really cheap now. I do have another Intel board here, a Z790 board, which is currently being underutilized. So I am looking out for a 12th gen CPU to put in there. So if anybody sees any deals for 12th gen CPUs, ideally 12600K or above, then please do let me know. Not a 13th or 14th gen, preferably.
We've seen what Mitch wrote.
Mitch says, I used to use VirtualBox all the time when I had all Intel motherboards. When I switched to AM4 5 years ago, VirtualBox would not work good at all. Maybe that's where I was going wrong, because I was trying to use virtual machines on AMD systems most of the time. Andy Archer says, you put the link up. That's in regard to the enterprise drives. Yeah, I did. I posted the link in Discord, but I must have looked at them and thought, I'm going to get some of those. Sometimes, if I see a bargain which seems to be amazing and I cannot wait, I'll buy it first, then I'll post the link on Discord. But I think in this instance, I might have looked at it, shared the deal, and then got chatting about it, and then probably forgot to buy them. Yeah, I forgot all about those. Well, hopefully someone else got some bargains. I'll have to have a look at the linking and see if they still got some. Raj says you should start off with Hyper-V as it's easier to get virtual machines running. Okay. Sounds good. O'Reilly says, Mike, when I visit, want to have a chat about virtual machines, I can explain some things to you. Yeah, I need all the help I can get. I'm useless at them. I will get it done one day. Thanos says, Mike, my NVMe on which I installed Windows back in 2019 now has 89% health. Do I have a problem? Well, you don't have a problem. The NVMe drives, or all like solid state based drives, have like an over provision. So there's a section of the drive and they'll just keep on using it up until like the bad blocks get, I don't think they get reallocated, but it kind of loses space. So yeah, it's not ideal, but I think I've got one of my drives in my, which one is it? I think one of my drives in my video editing rig is down to about 80% health. I think that's the main boot drive actually. So I do need to change that at some point, but it's been in there for, well, in various different PCs now since I did the review, and it was when PCI Express Gen 4 drives had just come out. So it's probably been in there 3 or 4 years, maybe. But yeah, I'm not overly concerned at the moment.
Kenny D.
Kenny D. Now that we found love, what are we gonna do? Copyright match? I don't. Kenny D, I don't know if you answered my question earlier, but what should you do with an old AIO once you replace it? Oh yeah, I did answer it, yeah. I was saying that really, like, you can resell it. As long as you got all the bits and it functions, then you can resell it. You won't likely get an amazing price for it because of how cheap new ones are, like 50 quid for a decent 360. So, yeah. The worst thing to do with it is to leave it sitting around. Because if you leave AIO sitting around after they've been used once, that's when they start failing and the pumps gung up. Or, sorry, the pumps gunk up is what I was trying to say. So when they're brand new, they're okay because the kind of anti-corrosion or anti-mold and mildew inhibitors are at their peak strength, like antifreeze in a car. But after a period of time, it loses its ability to do so. It kind of downgrades. So eventually you get to a point where it will start gunking up in there, especially if it's been through lots of heat cycles, been used, and then you just chuck it in a cupboard somewhere. The water is all going to be completely still in the system, which gives the bacteria time to grow. Whereas if the system's in use, the bacteria is being constantly flushed around to different parts of the radiator until it clogs up in one certain area. So that is something to look at. Ideally, you don't want to leave it sat up unused for a long time. That's why generally with the 360mm rads, any that we get for review, if I've used them for any length of time, I try to then sell them in a PC or get rid of them pretty quickly, just so they're not sat around on the shelf. I did have the Freezer 2 360, but I did periodically plug that in just to give it a blast round, which was okay. But I don't really have time to do that kind of thing now. John Wick says, I trashed my old AIO. It ran out of coolant. Or I out coolant, I'm not sure what that meant, but oh, you must have changed the coolant, but it made it smell, so it's not a good idea to refill it. Plus there's no way the fan pump will last another life. Believe me, I'm gonna do only heatsink instead. Moving on. Fair enough. Okay. Now we were supposed to take a look at some other things, but we are coming up towards kind of like knocking off time. So we'll take a few more questions, last minute questions, and then we'll try and wrap things up. I didn't realise what the time was. I was supposed to get through other things, which I have here. One of which is here. So I was supposed to go through, after all this talk of AIOs, we were supposed to be taking a look at this. So this is the Thermaltake, the new TH360 version 2 Ultra EX ARGB Sync Snow Edition, which I think actually 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 8 words for a product description. Are they nuts? I think they probably are. If the guys from Thermaltake UK are watching secretly in the background, you can cuss me now. These are actually surprisingly inexpensive. I thought that this was going to be ridiculously expensive because you got the magnetic fans, which are normally expensive anyway, aren't they? Daisy chainable fans. They used to be 100 quid for 3. Let's be real. No, they're not that much now. And also having an LCD into the pump used to be something which was, yeah, like a premium feature, but somehow they've managed to do all of this and be Thermaltake branded and have nice RGB software for the pump head if you want to use it. Something which is actually really interesting about this, because going back to what I said at the very beginning of the stream, talking about RGB software and NZXT. So with this pump, like some others, if you choose to not install the Thermaltake software to do all the monitoring, so you get your GPU temps, CPU temps, loads, RAM usage, all that kind of stuff. If you don't want to do that, you can just leave it powered and it will show the liquid temperature, which is actually quite a useful metric. It's not ideal because obviously the time it takes for the fluid to warm up is going to be a lot slower than your CPU warm up, but it's good for reference purposes. But yeah, so you don't have to install the software if you don't want to. If you do, then you get all the full stats on there, or you get GIFs of puppies or cats or whatever your favorite anime character is, or potentially you can put on things like the local weather, which is quite useful, or you can do a carousel of various different things. So yeah, it's pretty cool. 3-pin addressable RGB throughout, which is awesome. 4-pin PWM, magnetic connections, and a reasonable price, around about 100 quid, which I was surprised at. I thought it was going to be more expensive. I think Thermaltake are getting to the point now where they realise that there's competition on the market. You've got the likes of Thermalright with their kind of basic entry-level models at like 50 quid. So you kind of got to do something to justify your price these days. So by having magnetic connection fans, obviously that is a value add. Having the LCD pump, a value add. The new pump impeller in this is ridiculously quiet. Now, something which I've found in the past with almost all pumps is they start off quiet and they get noisier over time. Some of them are noisy to start with. This one, very, very quiet. Impressively quiet. I think that is one of the key differences the V2 has got over the V1. The V1 THs, they weren't loud, but you could hear them. Whereas this one, I had it cranked up to about 3,000 RPM. It maxes out at 3,300 and I couldn't hear it. I actually had to double check the wiring to make sure I plugged it in. That's how quiet it was. That's impressive. And I'm someone who really does kind of, I'm really sensitive to these noises. So anyway, that's good. Lucky Man says, question, my Thermalright Frozen Warframe 360 black screen keeps on going to China writing. I don't know why, as it's been updated. There is something in their software for the Frozen Warframe. So if you disconnect the USB cable off the top or the side or wherever you've got it mounted and then plug it back in, it gets rid of it. But every now and then it will disconnect. Somebody has said that it's something to do with the, what was it now? It was the way that it uses a USB descriptor, and it almost shows up sometimes as an unknown USB device. And I'm not sure why it does it. Apparently they are looking into it. But yeah, it is quite common that if you get Google Translate on it, onto the Chinese writing, I'm pretty sure it says USB has been disconnected. Or USB has lost connection. I think that's what it was, yeah, USB has lost connection. But yeah, apparently they are looking into it. I was maybe looking at the potential that it's a USB 2 versus USB 3 thing, or not enough power going through the USB cable. I did try various versions on mine because it was doing it now and then. So yeah, I don't know the answer to that at the moment, I'm afraid to say. But yeah, that is again another thing where the Thermalright Frozen Warframe 360, I think, was about 60, 70 quid, maybe 50 quid, I'm not too sure. They're quite expensive for what they are. But they are arguably a smaller company, so when they start integrating things like software, LCDs, that kind of stuff, they've got to be making money on their products, so they've got to be skimping somewhere, and a lot of it is going to be in the software side of it. So that is why, if you're going to buy or invest in a water cooler and you want it to last and you want to know that it's going to have decent support, sometimes it is worth looking at your Thermaltakes, your Corsairs, your Leian Lees, Fractal, etc., etc., because they've been around a long time. They support their products. They The version of the TT RGB software that this can use if you want it to has been around for I think about 10 years now. So it's just continually evolving, and it's relatively well supported and updated. So that is one of the kind of the pros of spending a little bit more money. Maybe you don't want to see the displays on there, you don't care. In terms of raw performance, this is a cracking performer. And I'm in a little bit of a quandary with this, because ideally I want to put this on my my Intel system, my i9-13900K, because it'd be perfect for that. And it's white as well, whereas the one I've got in there at the moment is black. But a 360mm AIO only fits in the front of my Series 330. So really, this needs to go in there to replace that one. But yeah, it doesn't need it because it's only a 7700 in there, so it's not really stressing the system. So I'm not too sure what I'm going to put this in actually, but I will be putting in something. So anyway, yeah. Dukemans, so better late than never. Evening all, how you doing, Dukemans? And good night to David Underhill, or good morning, whichever it is.
David Underhill's been in for hours.
Yeah, no, he's going. He said bye. So I'm just reading through. John Wick says on the last minutes before it died, it did smell bad. It sounds like the pump's burnt out if it smells bad, because you shouldn't get bad fluid smell, but if the pump's burnt out, you will smell like a very caustic, almost metallic smell, like burnt plastic almost. So anyway, this is yeah, an interesting looking cooler, and I do like the magnetic fans, because that is something which a lot of people, like when we're wiring up RGB stuff, it's a pain in the ass, because you've got all these wires. That is something which I don't like actually about that one, because you can probably just, I don't know if you can see it actually, whether it's in focus, you might be able to, but at the back of there, I've just got a load of RGB cables stuffed in the back, and it doesn't make a difference to the performance of it really, but for me, it's like, I know that if I ever take that radiator out, it's going to be a right faff trying to get to all the cables. But it was considerably cheaper, so that is the kind of you've got to take the rough with the smooth. Whereas this is a thing of absolute beauty and joy to use. Thermaltake have just released a new CTE case, which I think is the CTE 600 or the 550 or one of the, I don't know, whatever model it is. And I'm still on the fence about the whole CTE thing. What do you guys think about the CTE, the inverted builds? I'm not keen on it. I'm really not sold on it. I know a lot of you like it, and they have apparently been very popular. But having said that, I have noticed recently Scan Computers here in the UK have reduced the price of every single CTE case. So whether that is because they're not selling, I don't know. You can reinsert whatever you will, whether it's just a thing where Thermaltake want to clear some stock for the new Christmas lines. Maybe that is the case, I don't know. Anyway, these new CT120 EX fans are incredibly rigid. And they've added extra blades to give you more static pressure, which is always nice. And you've got the pins on the side and the pads on the other. So you go pin to pad. And if you have them around the right way, it helps. And you can daisy chain them together. And there you go. You've got 3 fans and 1 cable. Well, technically 2 cables, but 1 magnetic connection to power all of those, which goes straight to PWM header and your ARGB header. Much simplified wiring. So rather than having 6 cables and working out where to go and how to daisy chain them, you've just got that, which is wonderful. It is. Magnetic fans, when they first came out, extremely pricey. Even the slot together ones were expensive. But these, I really do like the way they've done this. And the magnets are actually surprisingly strong. Even holding that, it does hold it all together. And they've actually put on now thicker pads, because that was the initial versions of them for all brands. They made the pads too small, so sometimes you have to kind of wiggle the fans around a little bit to get them to actually pass the signal through. But with the newer pads on there, they've got 40% bigger area of contact. So yeah, you don't get that issue anymore. So even if you do mount one of the screws a little bit tighter on one side than the other, it isn't a problem. They still work. And they're all still very, very magnetic, which is awesome. Dutch Jan says, I have a Sharkoon Rev case. Oh, the reverse one. Yeah, I had the, what do I have? The Rev 200 or Rev 220, I think it was. I quite like that. I used to have that over that side on the desk. Didn't have it for very long. Who had that? I think that went to a Kia Shadow, I think. That was a long time ago. Anyway, so there you go. That is the AIO. I'm not going to go into too much depth on there because it's, I guess once you've seen one, you've kind of seen them all. Until you see the actual performance numbers of it, it's hard to get an accurate idea of what's going on. So yeah, very nice. I like that a lot. Thanks to Thermaltake, if you're watching, for sending it.
Glenn bought one of the Sharkoon cases. Get the name though.
Oh yeah, he did, didn't he? And for those of you with smaller cases, you've got the TH280 V2 Ultra EX ARGB sync, 280 version, so basically exactly the same thing, magnetic fans, but this is to go in, well, this is a black version rather than white, and also smaller. But you can get these in both the colours, so the black or the snow, and you can get them in 240, 280, 360 and 420 mil versions. And there are, in some regions, also going to be the hydrangea blue, the matcha green, possibly other colours to come as well. Maybe bubblegum pink, possibly bubblegum yellow, and yeah, all those other crazy colours. But no doubt we will see what we will see. I'd like to think they're going to start doing that, because the fans as well, they're nice that you can get all the colour matching fans if you want to do all that stuff. So yeah, good stuff.
Where is the AIO that fits 2 times 220 mil fans?
I'm not sure. I don't think that even exists. It would be nice though. It'd be nice to have an AIO. Well, 200 mil fans have been a thing, so to have one that does that, 2 of those, that would be incredible. But I don't think it's going to be. Charles Ballard says, I just got a hell of a scare. My landline just rang. I forgot to turn off the ringer 2 weeks ago after the plumber was done in my condo. Your landline, yeah, mine don't. Andy Archer says, did you get a response over those broken fans, Mike? No, I have sent pictures of it and explained in detail what was going on to Thermaltake UK. They're passing it on to HQ. I've not heard anything back yet, so yeah, not too sure what the deal is there. I have seen... yeah, I've seen an advertisement on, is it YouTube? Advertisement on YouTube and also on Facebook for those fans. So they still seem to be selling them. So whether or not mine was a one-off or not, I'm not sure. I've not seen any reviews of it as such. So yeah, not too sure. Nick Barnes, have you made any more ITX videos? No, not recently. It's been a funny time recently. We've had a few bits and pieces going on in the house. We've had the fireplace which is being done. We had something else going on. What have we got? There's something else. We had the fireplace, then we had the plaster, then we've had like people around, Angel having her hair done, etc. So there's been like weird things going on, so it's been a bit patchy. So some of the videos coming out are going to be more...
Next door has been having their fire done.
Oh yeah, next door having their fireplace done or something, so that was all being knocked and banged around, so...
Film man.
Yeah. So no, it's been a funny week. There's been some interesting videos actually. The one I did on today. Yeah, filmed today. It's been a long day. Yeah, filmed one today, which is actually very useful, especially if you're experiencing lag or slowdown in your PC, in either just Windows or in YouTube videos. I was getting a weird thing where every now and then watching a YouTube video, it'd skip a couple of frames. The audio was perfectly in sync, but it would lose a couple of frames. And I've been doing some investigation and a bit of background work, and almost 100% sure I figured it out now. So that will be a video we'll be releasing in a couple of days' time. That's a very interesting one. It's good for speeding up your PC. It makes your PC feel faster. It's very much like, I thought it was going to be like snake oil, but I forgot I actually did it. And then I went to use my PC and I thought, this feels unusually smooth. So yeah, very interesting video. I think you're going to enjoy that one. And it's a free piece of software as well, which is awesome. And it's very, very lightweight. Right. Okay. I think that's it question-wise. No one else has got any questions in apart from Nick Barnes, which we've answered. Just looking through. No, I think we're all good. Yep, excellent stuff. Right. Thank you all so much for joining us on this Saturday evening. Hopefully you've had, well, and Sunday morning for some of you. Hopefully you've had a somewhat entertaining and enjoyable cacophony of conversation on the Mike's Unboxing live stream. Thank you all so much for your contributions, your kind donations, and your ongoing support and all that kind of stuff. Don't forget, if you want to support the channel, you can use various things, such as you can buy your CD keys from premiumcdkeys.com. You can, if you want to as well. You can join us over on our Discord. All these links are going to be in the chat now, so I'm pressing the buttons to do that. And of course, if you want to support the channel and get something back for yourself, you can order yourself a mouse mat with your own design or one of the custom designs over at technicallystable.com. They're actually very cool. They've got a discount on at the moment, which you can still use the discount code Mike to get even more discount off their already excellent mouse pads. This isn't one of theirs. This is one I got from Ian Bodie, but Ian Bodie from William Bodie. Brain's gone. Yeah, so if you want to pick up one of those, you can do, and we do get a small commission off that, so it's awesome. Did that work? Yeah, technically stable. Blah blah. Cast on that. Yeah, that's all good. I think a new build posted on our Discord. Oh, your new build posted on our Discord? Okay. Looking forward to seeing that. So, yes. My voice is going now, so I am going to wrap this up. Anyway, thank you all for watching. I'm thinking what is next I say. I've been Mike. This is Mike's Unboxing Reviews and How To, and hopefully we'll catch you in the very next video. Thanks for watching, and have a fantastic rest of your weekend, and we'll catch you on Monday morning, bright and early.